Welcome in, everybody. As you can see, got a little bit of a different thing going here today, trying to mix up the look and going to be continuing to refine things here. Welcome to Between Two Bellsprouts, where we attempt to talk about what's going on in the PvP, Pogo PvP world and beyond, especially in the community. Today, we're going to try and focus on talking about a conversation that sparked up on Twitter this week regarding unbanning players, when that should happen, why that should happen, where that should happen. Not going to get into all the specifics, but that is what the conversation is going to be. I am joined today by. Oh, it wasn't quite as slick as I was hoping. Joined today by my Bellsprouts, Alyssa Rose, Sir Maximus, and you know what? And it didn't update. I had it right. I swear to you, Alyssa.
That's good because we were about to riot.
You were about to riot. Man, every time Jiggly thinks he's got it right, he's always screwing something up. We are going to make sure that it reflects that Alyssa is here. That's not it. All right. I will fix it as we go. Anyhow, we are here on I would say has it been a fairly quiet PvP week for you? Certainly Sunrise is raging, it's underway, but I have not personally done a whole lot other than my own tournament on stream. Have you guys done a lot of PvP stuff?
Kind of. I've got two ongoings right now. They're extended though, so it's not like a lot. It's just 48-hour rounds, or actually one 48-hour round and then one 72-hour round. So
things going wrong over here. Excusez-moi. Man, the more you try and make things slick, the more they break. There we go. All right. So how are you faring in yours so far? It seems like even the first folks who made it up to Challenger this year have not been able to all stick. Have you had a good performance overall?
yeah, so far so good.
All right. What about yourself, Max? I know that you were playing other games this week. Have you done any Pogo focus stuff?
No, just trying to practice with people if they need help with the sunrise stuff. Kind of looking at the numbers and how things have been shaping up as far as the meta goes, and looking what I can meme with. And there's a couple of things, but it's early on in the month. I'll probably do one tournament just to see, what I could get away with and what that performance would be like, and just meme it up for the people.
All right. What about you, scientist? I see that your facial hair is growing. Are you trying
It's
to
gone.
what?
It's
It's
gone.
gone. Oh,
Actually,
you shaved in the Oh, wow.
it's gone.
That's
Actually,
impressive.
yeah,
He made his
That's
bed,
impressive.
shaved, and brushed his teeth.
yeah. Could have all things. So, not well. I stopped doing tournaments after that LA tournament. So, um, I'm gonna probably pick it back up like maybe this week at the end, considering I get schoolwork done. But I've mainly been playing like a little bit of like a mixture of other games because Pogo is just kind of like, I don't know. Ever since school kicked in, like I'm not really going outside very much, and like I'm mainly staying at my keyboard, and I'm doing like other things. Like I'll do some GBL here and there, but honestly, I've skipped out on like 2 days now, and like it's so refreshing. And I'm playing like Genshin Impact, which is the popular game right now. And I played Phasmophobia with Max, and it's just so much fun playing other games as well. So um, yeah, I've been doing some of those things. I'll definitely pick up Sunrise again, but I've been doing a little bit of practice here and there too, just so I make sure I'm refining my skills. But I'm mainly just like taking it easy right now because it's I don't know, the craziness of last season for GBL really kind of wore me down a little bit. So, yeah.
Understood. Understood. Speaking of GBL and what we were supposed to have on today, we were supposed to have the first rank 10 of the season, Spaghetti DSSK, and his power went out. His or her power, I believe it's a him, went out when he was just about to come on. So whether we will be joined by them, I'm not sure. I think it's fair to say that they've left the gates a lot more wide open over there at Niantic this time, as opposed to trying to gate the man. This is driving me crazy with the disappearing windows. With trying to gate the rank 10 stuff this month. Where do you think we were at this point in the season? Last season, there was nobody even close to rank 10. Am I right?
No, I don't think so.
I want to say a couple people were maybe the 20, like right under 2,800 around this time when we were shifting to Master League, and people were making that like last 200 point push or something. But then also they were messing with the point system, so it's hard to say what we really were at, because like maybe we more or less are at the same spot if they didn't mess with. I don't know. It's hard to say.
If you're able to bring the mic back in a little closer, Max, you're getting back to being quiet again. But so what? I think I have a feeling what I know Max's answer is going to be. But do we think that this is intentional? Do we think that this is just Niantic fumbling? Do we think that they're just allowing it to be a little bit more open this time because people complained, or it's just random?
I think it's just random. But it might be the last 2 weeks where they screw things up again and everybody just gets walked in from like 9 to 10. If they go like maybe 5-0. Who knows?
Anybody been running anything interesting in GBL? No?
I feel like my stuff's boring.
What have you been running, Alyssa?
So I'm leading Obstagoon, and then I have Charizard and Venusaur in the back.
That's for Premier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't touched Open at all. I just want to stick with one team and just not change it.
That's a good team. Wait, do you like the team or?
Yeah, it's doing really well. I think my highest so far was like 2,600, and then I got knocked back down, and now I have been missing sets and not doing them so much because I've been focusing more on Sylph. But I'll definitely get back into it more when Halloween Cup or Flying Cup or Great League is back. Masters just doesn't do it for me.
I agree. Yeah. So
what about you, Ethan?
Oh, I've been using shout out to Country Nerd. He hit rank 10 recently. That was insane. I've been using a variation of his team. Like pretty much like last season at the end of Ultra League, and then like this entire season of Ultra League. So, but I haven't been as lucky with like leads and stuff. So, yeah. I think a lot of it comes to like practicing it more too, but I don't know. I get hard countered in lead and then hard countered save swap. So, and then my poor Lapras in the back can't do much without shields. So that's how it works. So yeah, yeah. But I mean, I can't complain because I think I've gone up a lot with the team. So Ultra League's been kind of all right for me, but I don't want to touch Masters at all. So yeah.
Yeah. I have been running I've been running Shadow Swampert Double Steel, so Shadow Swampert Registeel and Scizor with my purified Scizor that I can catch enough people off guard with that I can just one shot them when they think they don't need to shield it. But honestly, I'm not at the elo as everybody else is, so that's probably not something viable at a lot of levels. I just saw so much charm that I was doing that.
Yeah, there's definitely an influx of charm, and that's also been hurting my team or country's team because we have the charmers aren't in the front, and we have our 2 charm weak Pokemon in the back. So it's kind of unfortunate. So And it's usually like a SGAB lead. So if we get like SGAB lead and then 2 charms, we might as well just hit the surrender button. But yeah, there's really nothing you can do. So yeah. Yep.
We do not have the full schedule set for this week. We had to set this in stone, but hopefully both Ethan and Max will be joining us for the Charmander Poke and Pull that we plan to do later in this week. I know Max has said he should be good to go on that. Going to try and get everybody ready to for Charmander Community Day coming up. I'm going to push the Pro-Am out one more week. I'm going to get all the things settled for that this week. This week was a busy week for me at work, and I apologize for that. I had my first stream cancellation on Friday in a hot minute, but also looking forward to whatever day it ends up being, that we will be streaming the Battle of the Servers, and that ought to be the most hype event that we have probably had on the stream. Thank you to Alyssa for suggesting that we could do that. How have you guys been doing for shinies and the like this week? Have you gotten did you get any of the previous stuff or the new stuff? I don't think we've even talked since Alyssa wasn't here last week. Do you get one of your bow smoochum, Alyssa?
Not a shiny one, but this week I did really, really well on accident. Like I didn't even go out hunting. I had every intention of going to Little Rock and just spending every night there, but I got sick, and so that didn't happen. But I did get a shiny Zigzagoon, which is always exciting, so they're my favorite, and a shiny Vulpix, and a shiny Pineco today, and I got a shiny Sentret, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Any luck for the two of you? I don't get the sense that you've been playing as actively, but do you get any good shinies?
So I didn't get any of the event ones like the Kricketot or anything like that. But
I got that too.
When they had the Meowth one for the 8 hours or whatever it was, I wasn't even trying, and I have like.
Oh, you got 3, didn't you?
I have like 50 of each berry, so I didn't suffer like how everybody else was suffering for that event. And on the 3 different pages or chapters, I got 3 different shiny Meowths, Alolan Meowths. I was like, I already had one, so I didn't want any of those. I was trying to like go through them because I thought it was like maybe 5 pages, and then you can get like 6 chances at one, 2 chances at another, and 2 chances at another or something. And I was really trying to get the shiny Kanto Meowth because I don't have that one. But I said I got 3 more, so I have 4 Alolan Meowths shiny that I'm just like, there's nothing I can do with these, but I feel so bad that everyone else that couldn't participate in it didn't get as lucky.
I have no shiny Alolan Meowths. I did not get one. I went all the way through the research. My wife got one about halfway through, but I do have a shiny Kanto. So I don't know how that works for Dex purposes. I believe we could swap those if we ever were in the same place, right? And it would be normal cost.
I think different forms means that it's not. Just like how if I trade...
no, because I got a registered shiny AWAC once by getting a shiny Kanto WAC in a trade. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I think for whatever reason, there's some bug where like if you register the shiny of one, it registers the shiny of both regions or something, and so that triggers it or something. But
don't call it a bug. Then they'll change it.
I don't think that they have the ambition to change it, but
I hope not. I like that.
Who knows? So yeah, I actually got a bunch of the crickets. Had one run from me because I tried to go plus it, but I also got more shiny Zigzagoons. I think I got 2 more, and yeah, I've had lots of luck, and I got a shiny Smoochum on the way to work one day. So all happy on my end. Although I don't know what I'm going to do with that Smoochum. I may save it for you if you want it one day, Alyssa.
God, no, I hate that thing. It's so ugly. The bow is cute, but oh man, like they couldn't have put it on a worse Pokemon.
Yeah, I like I was saying with the whole that event, I really didn't care for the shiny Meowth, so I was just trying to do them to get the other ones, and I was really trying to get like a shiny from those other event ones. Like I'm probably one of the 5 people who didn't get a Kricketot shiny. Or what else was there? I mean, I caught a couple of Deerlings. That was cool. I was trying to get a secondary Great League shiny Oddish for like the shiny Vileplume because I have a shiny Blossom. and like just some stuff like that, but no luck. And I wasn't playing hardcore, but there's been times where I played about the same amount that I'm doing or that I've been doing, and I get at least one shiny. So I was kind of like, oh, rip. So
I need a shiny Oddish. I have my shiny Bellsprout, and I have another shiny Bellsprout I'm going to get in a trade, hopefully before midnight. And that's the Alyssa and the Ethan Bellsprouts. And I need an Oddish. And then I would love a Jigglypuff to round out my
I
collection.
have plenty of Oddish too, so hopefully one of these days I can pawn some of those off. So for me, the Meowth event, the most disappointing part to me was how few shots one got at Galarian Meowth, because I was really hoping that would be more the focus of it, that there would be at least as many of those as you got for Kanto, and what, you got 2 shots at him. So that was disappointing to me. How about you guys?
well, I know Living Truth couldn't finish it because she didn't have the Nab berries, and Sadie Poo was like, I need 2 Nab berries so that way I can like move on, and I think it was like do the 2 to get the 5 unlocked or something like that, where it was basically like you could profit for them, and then try to get some more for the, whatever the event was on that other task. I think it was the Victini one. It was like I can't play, like I can't really go to stops, and I can't. So I know there were a couple people that got screwed on that, but I don't know about Ethan. I know he can go more or less safely to a couple of grind spots. So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't go out at all during the Meowth event. I honestly didn't even know there was one until like
legitimately didn't know? I thought you were trolling.
Yeah, no. I actually had no idea. And then like then I found out about it, and then I did then I did all of it except for I think the last task. I'm not sure. I think I got almost all the way through it, but I was like doing it while watching a show, so I didn't really. I was just like, whatever. I'm gonna go at a leisurely pace. There's like 3 hours left, but I don't care. But I did manage to get a hundo, and that's my second hundo, and I'm so happy because I also collect Alolan Meowths, and it's because like I always reference Nanu to people, and people don't know who Nanu is. I don't know if anyone's played Sun and Moon, but he's like, yeah, no one's okay. So like I'm a zoomer here, but you know, but like it I don't know. He's just one of my favorite characters in Pokemon, and just because like he just doesn't care, and he gives Alolan Meowths. He has like way too many Alolan Meowths. Like this is his backstory. So he has way too many Alolan Meowths, and he just gives them away to like starting out trainers, like trainers that are starting out their journey, and he tells them that they're like a super rare like starter, and that they're gonna do well with the Meowth. So he just gives them out, and they're like he like breeds Meowths or something. But he's like one of my favorite characters. I think if they made a Nanu rank 10 like outfit, I would go crazy. I would like try so hard, but yeah, I like I'm collecting Alolan Meowths that are hundo, and I have 2 so far. So hopefully I can get a whole party like Pikachu, and I can take over the world with my Alolan Meowths as well. So there you go. That's my story on the Meowth research.
I would have thought I would have heard of Nanu, because usually I know there were certainly cards in the trading card game that would have had him on it, but it doesn't look like he made it in any of the
no, he did no.
Ones.
No, exactly. That's why I like him too, because he's kind of low key. But if you play the game, like you know who Nanu is. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. He like you fight him throughout the game too, and he uses Alolan Persian in like the final battle with him, and he's kind of tough too. So he's a tough trainer. So I don't know. If you don't power level and stuff, he's tough. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's my little spiel. Or spiel. It's for
Riff.
Pokemon people.
Oh,
Leave the
Yeah.
dad jokes to me. Come on.
Yeah. So I mean I got a hundo, and then Giratina's been pretty nice. I don't know how nice it's been for you guys. But I've accepted a lot of invites because that's on purpose, because I changed all my buddies' names to Santinas because I really like. I think I told you guys I got a hundo, but it ran on me.
Wow.
So I really want that back. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
boy.
go try to find it again.
You are chasing that dragon, huh? You're just.
Yeah, I really am. So, and I'm gonna be so happy if I can finally get it again. Or if I don't get it, it's whatever. But if I can get one, I'll be really happy. So, in my search, in my quest, I've only done like 29 raids or something like that, which is kind of a lot, but not really, but kind of. I found like 4 shinies, and I'm really
Jeez.
kind of like I don't know what to do with them. Like I'll give them away for trades. I'm not really looking for them, but I'll take them. So if anyone wants a shiny origin, like
I want
just,
one, but
like,
I
hit
don't
me
know
up,
that
I
I would
guess.
try. It might even have the same situation. If I look in my decks, I think potentially it'll be registered, right? Even though I don't have
Right.
that one, so it's
Yeah, I
not the
think
possible.
same though.
What's
Like,
that?
you
it's
want to
not?
catch it.
Oh, it's a different form. Yeah. Wait. Is
No,
it?
I mean it's probably in there. I'm just saying like it's not the same as having it registered as actually having it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know
Right.
how it works for dust costs, but in any case, all these hypothetical trades that we can make when we see each other, which is who knows
Yeah.
if that'll ever happen.
Yeah. So I have
It will.
a whole
Do
lot,
not speak that negativity in here.
have a whole lot of them. So, if anyone wants them, I got them. So, I'll save for I guess if the Bellsprouts don't get any, I would save for you guys, obviously, and then if I just keep getting more, then I'll just I'll just keep saving them, I guess, and yeah.
I
I got a
haven't
lot
gotten
of
any yet. It's kind of a bummer.
yeah, I got a lot of Tinas too, like regular Tinas and like the altered ones, and I don't understand like why I'm getting so many Tinas. I just genuinely do not want them, and they just keep like coming. So I'm very perplexed, but I mean,
This kind of sounds like one of those conversations where people are like, I had all these kids I never intended to. I don't know how this happened.
I don't know what's
you-
happening.
You do have to press that accept button on the raid invite to actually end up with the Giratina. So
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I didn't expect for them to be shiny though. I just wanted to get a good one. Like I just wanted a good Giratina altered too. I didn't get a good Giratina altered, so it's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I'm still searching. So yeah, keep sending raid invites.
all right.
I have not done a single Tina raid. I'm out of passes, and probably not going to be getting any passes anytime soon either.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm just gonna miss out. I was helping everybody with their megas that were hunting for those megas to get the candy.
mhm.
And I don't even have enough to do my own mega. That's like the worst part. But yeah, I guess I'll miss out on these Tinas.
Which mega? You don't have enough to do your own megas despite helping people? How does that work?
Because they all want to do these different megas, like they want to do like a Blastoise. All right, let me do a Blastoise.
Oh.
I think I'm one raid away from being able to Mega Evolve a Blastoise once. I think I can Mega Evolve Charizard in one form, but that's it. Well, no, because it gets cheaper, right? So maybe I can do
Yes.
both X and Y. But I can't do a Venusaur. I can't do a Houndoom. I can't do a Pidgeot. And I don't know if there's another one. But yeah, so like I helped them with all their different ones, and I haven't been able to yet. So because they're like, we have 2 people and one of them's a level 20. I was like, all right, I'll jump in. So
What have you been seeing in general in terms of just player base? Are you seeing a lot of people that are new recently? I know you keep talking about helping different people out. Are they kind of the same group of people and you're kind of walking them up, or is there like an influx of people that you are seeing?
I'm seeing an influx of newer players because they're like level. If they're like level 20-ish, like 25, whatever, they're recently new. I want to say like they came along near the start of this new GBL season, but a lot of the other players are kind of like Vivi. She's barely gonna hit level 40, even though she's been playing the game for a while. But it's just a matter of, she's playing the game at her own pace, not every day type of thing. Not trying to do the whole 7-day lucky egg star piece setup thing that a lot of people do to be like extremely efficient on their dust and their XP and coordinating friendships and stuff. She didn't start doing that until recently because people were like, "Oh, you gotta hit level 40. You gotta hit level 40." Um, and I was telling her like, "You just need to be level 30 to functionally level up your Pokemon." And she's like, "Okay, but I should set that as a goal." So she's going for it. Um, and I think I'm trying to think of one of my other friends. He's actually trying to go for it too now. So but they've been playing casually. But I want to say if they're like level 35 or more, it's just a matter of them playing at their own pace. But
Right.
the people that are that like level 20, level 22, um, I know it's not an all account type of thing either because they're asking for help on raids. So I think with this community growing, people are trying to do those raids.
Good to see that the community is still growing. I know I've seen a lot of new people over my way, but unfortunately not a lot of them have I been able to interact with. I'm looking forward to trying to make more local connections when I can actually get out more. But it is good to see the game still managing to grow. It's kind of weird that it would grow during this time when people are not out, but I guess it is what it is. For the Sylph rankings today, unless something has changed, it looks like we are down to 6 challengers. We are top 10 is Jorge PPTV ALVC PPT Valve C. I'm not sure who that is, from Monterey. 2 Andrew Manjarez. 3 Hot Pocket. 4 Mencino TX. Queen of the Cutie from last week's episode. Number 5, friend of the stream, Rise to Occasion. At number 6, he was I guess number 1. Was it number 1 last week? And I don't think he's necessarily done anything new, but some other people have passed him up. And we've got rounding out the top 10 somebody Ite333 from Israel, Ariel Weepy at Dre Flames, who is of course as we also had on last week, and Lundberger from Belgium. So it will be interesting to see how much we'll see a lot of movement there. I think I know that DJ Enterprise was joking that he isn't good anymore because he went from being like top 25 in the first week to losing some, but there's a lot of movement to be had, so it's a lot more fun to kind of check in on the top 10 knowing that it doesn't mean a whole lot, especially at this point, but it is fun to see some names up there that you might or might not recognize.
Dr. Trotter was number 1 for like a good hour.
A hot minute, yeah.
Like, I'm amazing, and then and Fish was like, "Yeah, you're great," and he was like, "Okay, never mind, not anymore." They either fixed the ranking equation or whatever, and now he's back to where he's like, "Yeah, top 1,000. That sounds about right."
If we had not been going in another direction in terms of discussion and guests that we were trying to get on, there's somebody I would have loved to get on, and I'm gonna have to pull up their Twitter, but there was someone whose YouTube channel came to my attention today, and it really just or not today, this week. And it made me want to focus more on my own PvP game. I know that I'm really late to this game, but I have been focusing on actually trying to focus on launching my charge moves at the right time. And I've been so bad at that. And people are always watching me and they're like, why did you do that? Why didn't you do that? Always talking about like canceling out things and whatever, but I've really not put in the time, and I'm getting a little bit better at that, and I'd like to say that probably in the next couple weeks I will maybe actually be pretty good at it. And I'm beginning to think that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe Jiggly can actually get better by focusing on those kind of details, because as I often like to say, there's not a whole lot of a skill gap in this game in a lot of situations. It's just kind of like leads and luck and lag and whatever. But there really is, I guess, something there that I've never really delved enough into. How I think Max is pretty proficient at that, right? At some point, you basically just decided that you were only using fast moves of a certain turn duration because that was just like, one, the game was broken, but two, like some of them are just easier to exploit than others, right? Is Max ignoring me?
No, hold on.
Oh.
Fixing my setting. Hold on. I don't know what happened. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think we're good now. All right. So I don't know what happened, but you cut off about halfway.
Okay, no, I was just saying that I think that you have been fairly proficient at this for a while, and I specifically remember you talking about using certain turn durations when certain moves were broken. But but I also think that you're probably just more ahead of the curve than I am for sure in terms of strategizing around turn durations. Is that something that you still do?
It's more just whenever I notice something in GBL or when I do practices, like the whole reason why I got to that whole when we were doing it between or Battle of the Servers, and I was building a team around those flaws was because I was battling Welsus Boyle on his stream, and I just outright won twice because of the game being broken, and it had nothing to do on his skill. Because I saw my vault switches go through and sneak in, and he was like, "I only see two." I guess I'll give it the benefit of a doubt for it being three. That's not enough for a wild charge, or that's not. Or he saw one. He's like, "Oh, it's probably two. It's probably a thunder punch. There's no way this is a wild charge." And it ended up being a wild charge, which cost him the game. Or that it was just a scrimmage, so it cost him that. And then I was starting to pay attention to that because we looked at the tapes. I was like, wait, you didn't see that at all. There was no animation, and I basically got full free turns. Then his Pokemon switched in. I got a whole another I got 8 turns on him. That's huge. Like, what's going on? I looked at his fast moves, and we kind of broke it down and analyzed all that stuff. And that's when it was like, okay, the game is broken in this way today. And so then that's when I was looking at all that type of stuff, and we were looking at, and I had mentioned a couple of things, and Ethan was there when we were kind of helping Rock City Girl to build a team last season, and we saw that the Giratina versus Giratina matchup was like atrocious because it was like, wait, how did they get 2 Dragon Claws and you only have 1.5? We're missing a whole half of a Dragon Claw here, and it's not even like a close Dragon Claw like thing. It's not like we're 1 or 2 Shadow Claws away, and it was turn 2 moves were broken or something like that, and there was like a huge desync and moves and stuff like that. So we were keeping all that stuff kind of in mind on the game breaks during switches. Like either Niantic is always screwing up with the switch mechanic, or the game itself inherently has a switch mechanic error since the Jesus incident of 2019 or 2020, whenever it was. So because of that, it's just, I always anticipate the switches being off. I always anticipating fast moves being off. So whenever it's, extremely egregious, and that's when I'm like, okay, I have to build a team with like 1 turn or 2 turn fast moves if the format allows it. And there's other times where it's just, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I'm going to get screwed. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's going to be in my favor. It's just an inconsistent game at this point. There's no real like specific way it's broken. So that's when I don't really care about what moves and stuff like that. If I want to give suggestions or like when I'm sparring with people, I can tell them like, I would really recommend Sableye right now. Sableye is really good. Not because it's a OP Pokemon in this meta. There are definitely checks for it, but just simply because you can get so much energy off and that non-specific matchup that you can just like steamroll people because 2-turn moves are broken, specifically Shadow Claw. So those are the things that I kind of keep in mind from time to time. But it doesn't seem like it's the case right now. It seems more of like just move desyncs in general, and you can't like counting is just there's no skill in counting right now. There's been a time where I saw 1 volt switch, and I'm like, how did they get a fast move? And that's at least 3 volt switches. I only saw one. And then some people kind of explain like, well, if you look at the Pokemon moving, it bouncing and its animation means that it's got a fast move in, but you just don't see the actual volt switch happening. And then there's a phantom uh, ghost, or there's a phantom fast move that came in, so it actually did get 3. But that's just something that you may not ever really see, or you have to really look at the tape. So that's why it's really important um, to like record your matches and analyze. So those are the things that I do from time to time, and I usually only do it maybe the first two weeks before a meta, or I do it right before I do a ranked tournament. But since I'm gonna be deranked, I may not go as hard on it. I might just kind of like notice something and just speak on it in a stream if people ask.
Are you guys familiar with Wallower? That's the person whose YouTube I actually stumbled across, and he talks. He has a series of videos on what he calls advanced PvP mechanics. I will post it in the.
I believe Wallower is responsible for the grass line, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe he was extremely highly ranked on all like the first.
No, but that's not a
3
bad
seasons.
thing. Yeah.
And so
it's just
he's got
Yeah.
several.
I'm not
videos.
hating on the grass hole line. Like I use it
It's-
for a good
it's
portion
like-
of Great League, and I'm not ashamed of it.
I don't even think I don't know why people are mad over it. It's a good team. Like I don't understand the frustration. Like I understand I get it getting out comped, but it's a good structured team. That's
I mean,
why
it's no more annoying than Double Charm in Ultra or the million Azu G-Fisk teams in Great League. Like, there's so many aggravating teams to play. That's just another one of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyhow,
There's almost like this micro, or there's the micro meta of like your 3 versus their 3, and you get the rock paper scissors. But there's also like the macro meta where it's my team comp beats the meta, and that grasshole team beats my team, and then the anti meta. Like it's just one of those things.
All right. I just posted a link to the video that I was watching, and I guess it was only couple week and a half old. I really thought that it was a little bit older than that, but in it he goes into kind of the stuff you see on the PV Poke page, where he talked about like move timing and that sort of stuff, and he really gets into like how you should time your charge moves, when you should throw them in different circumstances, and I don't know. I'm getting heavy into that, or going to try and get heavy into that, because it's always been one of those aspects of the game where I've understood that it existed, but I never realized how easily I don't know if exploitable is the word, but like how easily you could really take advantage of it if you were paying attention. It definitely still comes down to knowing your Pokemon, knowing the numbers of turns on their moves and what your opponent's Pokemon have, but essentially what he's saying is you're almost always better off firing an odd number of fast moves before you fire a charge move, and he talks about all the different resets and different things that happen, and it's all been stuff that I've kind of been like aware that these things existed, but I didn't realize how systematic they were. So I would encourage anybody who doesn't have a full understanding of that stuff to take a look at his advanced mechanics videos, because he's got several and they are all pretty good. And obviously the guy knows what he's doing, because he has been putting up some results. So all that being said, I mean, Ethan, you nodded when I said that. How do you fall in terms of like your ability to reliably deny people fast moves?
Pretty frequent.
Yeah,
I've gotten pretty good at it. It's definitely an art. It's like you got to do it through practice. It's usually odd. But I go off of animations sometimes. So it could be an animation that like the animations can be faulty, obviously, too. So you don't want to just go off of that, and you can go off turns. But I mean, it just comes with practice, and it's something that like I've worked on personally. Then what am I working? I don't know what I'm working on right now, but I'm always working on something, and that was something that I was working on like this past season, like these past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm behind on it. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna make a huge difference for me because so many times people watch me play and they're just like, oh, they snuck into this, they snuck into that, or oh, why did you do that? And like really a lot of it boils down to this kind of stuff where like if you more deliberately count numbers on your own side, actually, not so much even on your opponent's side, that you really can really take advantage and gain energy leads and such.
hmm
What about you,
Yep.
Alyssa? Before we move on to the main event, are you someone who's well aware and proficient with the fast move and charge move timing, or are you not so engaged in that?
I think I'm okay. I could probably stand to improve. I definitely focus a little bit harder on other aspects of PvP, but I'm pretty careful about, I'm not like button mashing or anything like that. Um, yeah, I'll definitely watch the videos, see what I can do.
Yeah, they're really informational.
Yeah. So, topic du jour, and we unfortunately don't have a particular guest on to talk with us about it, and part of that is due to the sensitive nature of it, I guess. But let me frame the conversation by saying, originally, we the topic came up because this week Matt Swar, very high profile guy from season 1, right? He was in season 1 North American Continentals running a Relicanth. Relicanth is probably his best known trademark, and he's one of those guys you see around the community. He's he knows his stuff. He's really into main series, and he was found to basically, people, when we talk about him, everybody knows, yeah, okay, he's not ranked because of the fact that he's an acknowledged spoofer, apparently. And the exact details of that situation I don't really want to get into, because it's not really the way that this I think that we can have a productive conversation. But he was tweeting today, or sorry, this week. I keep saying today. This week he was tweeting, and he shared a screenshot from Sylph saying basically, you went in and you tried to re-rank your account that was previously unranked. And obviously Sylph only gave us the option to re-rank an account this year. It was previously you could only go in one direction. And for whatever reason, he decided that he was going to take advantage of the fact that it was a possibility, and he was just going to do it and see what happened. He got his response back, and the response was that, just kind of turn it around. You can do this willingly or you're going to be deranked anyway. So that fires a lot of people up. And like I said, I do not want to talk about like the particulars, because whether he in particular needs to be re-ranked or not is not the issue. The point is that the conversation has come up. It's come up a lot of times, and there never really seems to be a full discussion of it. And frankly, I think different communities are going to come to different results. And I think that the introduction of GBL really plays into this as well, because GBL is kind of its own separate community that doesn't have really any standards, if you will, except whatever, if Niantic's banned you or not. So, talking in broad strokes, ignoring...
Well, not banned, because no one ever really gets banned from Silk.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
more
yeah,
of
yeah.
deranked or unranked.
Yeah.
Right.
Which means that you can still earn a unofficial ranking,
Right.
but you can never like weigh your tournaments or get special invites to special things like regionals, etc.
I did change the title. I think that there's a little bit of weirdness to be had. It's kind of it's really a language choice thing, because we're not just talking about Sylph. I mean, we're talking about Niantic, we're talking about Sylph, we're talking about Go Stadium, we're talking about Pogo Coliseum. Anybody that wants to hold their own PvP tournaments can do it in their own way. They could decide they're going to ban somebody. They could decide they're going to just say you can't be ranked. And certainly Sylph, to me, is of the most importance in terms of what they do. But you know, these other things are all their own communities. So whatever we choose to call it, I'm not intending to misrepresent, but the words may get mixed up from time to time. So yes, the conversation came up, and my take on it is a lot of the times this gets very personal, that people are like, so and so's a nice guy, I really think that they ought to be able to compete, and we don't really focus on like the broader issue of, well, what if somebody else disagrees about your characterization, or what if somebody else actually cares about what they did and they're not your buddy, and so forth. Like, we got to have some objective standards. So let me ask you, Ethan, what is your opinion on competition with spoofers, whether it's in GBL, whether it's in Sylph, whether it's in some other format? Do you personally get bothered by the idea that you're competing against spoofers, and does it matter what the forum or venue is?
So my stance on it is, me personally, I like to get my mons, originally, like where they're from, and I have nothing like people will play the game they want to, the way they want to, and ultimately PvP requires skill, while that also means that, these people can get rank 1s and stuff, or whatever they want, really. That is a little bit of a line that it's a bit it's weird, because in some Pokemon that actually matters, but others it doesn't. So I feel like D-ranking is fine, but I feel like if the person, like the format they have is good right now. I feel like it's decent. If the person wants to change, like Matt's conveyed that, he could maybe make a new account or something like that and play, with a ranking. I feel like that could be acknowledged, and that could be like there could be something worked out there. Like people like Matt, like I mean Kaiser, that I feel like that could all be worked out, because they're making an active effort to change. So yeah, I don't see why that shouldn't be recognized, and I feel like the system that they have set up right now for Sylph is fine. I feel like, if you're caught or whatever, that you should have the right to be deranked, at least for that season. And if you want to make an active effort to change, you contact them, and maybe next season, or maybe even mid-season, if you make like a conscious effort to change and like really actually mean it, like not just like, oh, like let me have my ranking back, please. No, like I'm actually willing to change. I will make my new account. I will show you that I'm no longer using this. I will trash this email or whatever, like actually make a conscious effort and like reconcile. Like that shows that they're putting forth the effort. So I feel like that should be recognized. But yeah.
So just hypothetically, without getting into any names, somebody says, I will stop spoofing, I have a new account, but I won't delete the old one. Does that feel fair to you or not?
As long as they're not using the old one for competition purposes, because that's like what they got in trouble with in the first place. I don't like there's an issue obviously for me as a player that plays organically. But from like their side of things where they're playing the game the way they want to play, I don't see an issue. Like they're keeping the count, but they're not using it for PvP. Maybe they're using it to trade things. That's where things like kind of like get kind of like the waters get murky. But um in terms of not using that account for actually like battling and using the Pokemon that are already built on that account, because that's where they got in trouble in the first place, I feel like keeping it wouldn't be as big an issue, but it could be later on if they were to have like been caught using it, or if you know they're using it constantly to trade things, you know. So
What about either of
yeah.
you? Do either of you disagree? What do you have in terms of your own personal line? If somebody wants to start a new account and doesn't want to delete the old one, and I want to ignore, I want to take like one question at a time, because I do acknowledge what's being said in the chat, which is that Niantic has their own terms of service, and some people will use that as a weapon in argument, and I think that's a different issue. But personally, how do you feel about competing against somebody who is starting a new account but doesn't get rid of the old one? Alyssa?
Well, would they be using their old account with the spoof stuff on it? Because if so, then obviously no, I'm not okay with it. If they were just
they're competing with the new account, and you know, then I guess it's up for question whether somebody would have to be somehow be forced to show that they're not using mons traded from the old account. But that's a huge administrative thing, as I'm sure you would acknowledge. Like, you don't want to run a tournament and always have to check somebody's 6 to see that it doesn't have a stamp that it was traded from an account. I mean, that would be a nightmare. But
yeah.
But hypothetically, you're competing against somebody in either one of those circumstances. They've got a new account. You can verify all the mons are clean. Is that fine? Or they've got a new account and you just have to trust them. Is that fine?
So I want to start by saying I support Sylph in this. I do think there should be some kind of chance for redemption maybe, but I'm not really sure what that could look like, because like you said, checking to make sure all of the spoofed Pokemon would be like such an administrative task. And I doubt any of those people that are volunteering all of their free time to do this for us has the capability to just sit there and do that. That would be ridiculous. So I would never spoof. I am a rule follower to my core. It like hurts my heart to break rules, but I don't know that spoofing is as bad as some of the other rule violations that we can't check during these remote tournaments. Like people that are running sims during a live tournament, we have no way of knowing, you know, who's got PV poke up in a tab and they're running a matrix against your team during a ranked battle, and that sucks because that's an advantage that you don't have, but they've got a whole chart, you know, against your team. We can't know that they're doing that. We can't control the people cheating, and we can't derank those people. So it's, I don't know, I guess it doesn't really sit right with me that we are letting so many people fly under the radar with that. But if spoofers get caught, then it's just one and done.
Yeah. I would like to get back and focus on what other kinds of cheating actually matter or don't matter to us. But in terms of just taking it as an assumption that the person said they spoofed, they've got a new account and they're not touching the old one, but you've got to trust them. Do you think that person, with no other facts, should be let back into the community that you want to compete in, whatever that community is?
I think if they made the effort to grind that new account all the way to level 38, then they've got to be invested somehow. But it would have to be a new account, not one that they had as an alt for 3 years and it's already all the way there, because that just doesn't seem like enough. Right. Like, it doesn't seem like they're really starting over. It seems like it was just another violation of TOS. And they're like, well, look at this other account that I have that already has plenty of resources. They're not doing the work to start from scratch and to get all the way up there. But if somebody really did truly start from scratch and say they wanted to do it the right way, and they really got all the way up to 38 and they were ready to go and they apologized publicly and let their opponents know, like, I'm not doing this anymore. I think that would be okay with me.
What about you, Max? Would you personally want to compete against somebody knowing only those facts, that they had a spoofed account and now they're on a new one, that we'll say that they started over, that they show a start date on the account that's after they start over?
I've battled IRL with multiple spoofers many times, and I've never cared. Like, there's been times where that spoofer, we're talking about season one, I know they spoof, and whenever there was a raid issue, like we're short one or two people, we knew the people to message and be like, "Can you help us out?" And they'd be like, "For sure." So and there's been hybrid communities all over the place. So when PvP came out, I've battled with them, I've sparred with them, I helped them battle. I know who they are, and I've never cared to rat them out because they spoof to get the dust to build stuff to help in raids. They spoof to build the Pokemon with the good IVs, a shiny good IV one. Um, they've done it for community stuff and whatever, and they trade some stuff away. It's happened, and I battled with them and I've lost. And there's been times where I'm like, I feel like I lost because of the IVs. And there's been times where I lost and it was just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? It's a rock, paper, scissors cup. Like, he put rock, I put scissors, GG's. Um, but at the end of the day, like, I acknowledge that it was a person on the other side, especially because I could see them in the face as we're battling. Um, and like, I've never cared. And to battle somebody like that, and then to be like, well, this person um, got deranked for whatever reason, be it spoofing, account sharing, because that's a thing too, right? Like, I'm here in the suburbs and that person's over there in downtown where it has all the good spawns. A rank 1 spawns. Am I not gonna take the, like, and I can't humanly possibly get there in a decent amount of time to get that. But they're like, dude, it's a hundo Sableye. Like, do you want me to catch it for you? Hell yeah. Right now I only have like an 88. I'm not gonna power that up, and I need Sableye. Um, or Metacham. I need Metacham. Right, here's a hundo Metatite. Like, there are plenty of people who account share for that, for those specific type of things, and they keep them with their close friends. And sometimes that gets them in trouble. That's not going against, or that is going against TOS. That's not exactly not breaking the rules or bending the rules. So I don't care. Like, I can't. It's against the rules to ask. Let me see your Pokemon's catch location. That's an invasion of privacy. Let me see all of your that's an invasion. Like, there are so many things to verify 100% that are an invasion of privacy. And to me, it's like, I don't care. Like, it sucks. It feels bad. But the chances are that in GBLs, when I'm battling these people, I'm probably battling at least 10%. If we want to play the numbers game, at least 10%, we're all battling a spoofer. So if you are okay with battling a spoofer in GBL, because you can't verify, you have no idea, right? But you want to get mad about trying to battle a spoofer in Sylph, it's kind of like, well, like, there's definitely a gray area. And the fact that there can never be a definitive black and white, and there will always be a gray area, and it starts to rub people, it's just like, you know what? I don't care. I'll battle a spoofer, I'll lose to a spoofer, somebody who doesn't want to spoof anymore, and they create a new account, and they want to start from scratch. It's all the same to me. I don't care. I much rather care about the fact that they don't, um, treat me like a POS. You know, um, that, like, they treat me with respect and they treat me like a human being. I don't care so much that they, like, cause like I told you, there. What if? Because there are 3 spoofers that I know locally in my area, and 2 of them are disabled, and one of them is just very old. And to say, like, all spoofers are trash, I would love to see those people who say all spoofers are trash to walk up to that 80-year-old man who used to play hardcore and used to grind with the people who do like 100 raids a day, on the weekends or during raid hours or whatever, to go up to that guy and call him a piece of shit. I would love to see them do that. Because if you want to say all spoofers, you're saying that person too. If you're saying all spoofers, you're saying that the disabled too, the person who maybe can't walk, who can't maybe speak or see, or it's far too much effort, or they're putting in way more work to play the game and to be part of a community, then it's really easy for me compared to them, right? Take COVID out of the equation. Just talking about like I can walk and run around and sprint to go get something or to get the dust or whatever. This person may not be able to. So I'm supposed to judge their life? Nah. It's against the rules. Let Niantic take care of it. If they don't know how to take care of it, that's on them. They just don't know how to run a game efficiently or something. I mean, we're seeing that the game has a lot of issues. So if they can't enforce the rule, or they can't either get rid of the game or reformat the game, or just stick with what you can and get enforce what you can. Um, like I said, I'm pretty sure Niantic, if they wanted to, they could nuke all the spoofers at once, just based on how their other games, like Ingress works. They know exactly where you're at all times. I mean, we saw they could nuke all of our Zigzagoons, so they have complete control. They know exactly. Um, so they do these things to just to kind of keep it, you know, we only want, a certain amount. We can only tolerate a certain amount, because these spoofers drop like, they do the raid days, they do the raid hours, they do all this stuff. They're dropping like a couple $100. So you want to nuke all that? Probably not. Do you want everybody to do it? No. So you gotta reinforce something. You gotta punish the people who get a little too crazy, who get a little bit too brazen about things. Um, so like I get it, I get it, but for me to judge and just say that all no, that to me is a little bit too much for me. Um, and I know I'm a little bit more on the conservative and more on the forgiving side. But like I said, I've experienced this stuff. I can't judge them. I can just say like don't spoof, because you're breaking the rules. But I'm not gonna, look down on them and be an elitist toward them. Um, so like I said, I battle plenty of them, so it doesn't affect me. I just prefer that they treat me like a human being, and I can treat them back like a human being. Because at the end of the day, there's a person on the other side of that avatar.
All right. So one of the things that I think is important to bring to the discussion is I understand the argument of I don't judge that person, because I feel the same way. I don't judge people who spoof for what they do, but I think it's a different question than whether you want to compete with them and whether you feel like they get an advantage out of it. Because I think if you have a competitive system, I think that you have to have standards and you have to have rules. So it really depends. And I feel like do you feel like maybe your perspective is not only fueled by your own forgiving nature, but also by the fact that at this point you're not ranked? Would it bother you more maybe if you decided that you were going to be competitive about it?
No, because I was super competitive in season 1 and 2, and like I said, I battled a bunch of spoofers, either IRL or we did a remote, and I know that they spoofed, but um, you know, I had no hard evidence, nor did I really care to report them, and I beat them, I lose against them. It was all the same. It was just a matter of, it was hard for me to collect dust. It was hard for me to get a non-rank like 3000 Toxicroak to use, like there are definitely a lot of things where like, man, this sucks. And how is it that everybody who's battling in Tempest Cup somehow has like a really well IV'd or well ranked or very easy, like double moved, easily obtained Tropius all of a sudden? Like a lot of people spoof, and I just have to learn how to accept that, and not to like, and just learn how to just be a better battler. Just because they spoof, okay, so it's easier for them to claim all of these resources and stuff. That's fine, but spoofing doesn't do anything when there's a Charizard facing a Tropius. Like, I got a Charizard that's just gonna fire spin a grass type at the end of the day. Okay, that's not a problem. I just got to make sure that I play my part. And yeah, it sucks, and when I get mad about it, it's kind of like, well, I would have won if they weren't a dirty spoofer. It's kind of like, well, no, because just put somebody there, like let's just say Valarash, who is a good player and who doesn't spoof and who has all the resources because he networks, he goes to these events and all this stuff. I could still lose to him because he's just a better player. It has nothing to do with spoofing. So what if somebody who spoofs just happens to be that caliber of a player anyways, but they just use it because like, oh, this is just more convenient and to compete. Okay, this isn't an esport. It's not like I lost $1,000 to that game. You know, it was just a matter of pride and a badge. I don't have a gold badge. Oh well, on that cup. You know, it sucks. But if you look at my track record, like yeah, I've never been known to be a 7-0 like sweep a tournament type of player. So I'll battle them if they want. I don't care. You know, it doesn't like I said, it doesn't affect me because I lose to good players. I lose to quote unquote bad players. There are a lot of games that I throw. There are a lot of games that I choke. It's all on me at the end of the day to battle and to win. It has nothing to do with them if they spoofed or not. And like I said, everybody all of a sudden had a Tropius in Tempest Cup. Like
Okay, you're talking about Tropius, and I think rightfully so. Tropius is probably the lightning rod in this situation, and arguably the argument against why it even matters anymore. But I think that, Alyssa, you're talking about just having recently gotten a Tropius, but there's definitely a have or have not situation back in Tempest, but I feel like Tropius is just one of those mons that was just so polarizing, and I feel like Sylph has gone out of their way not to make metas like that anymore. Do you think that maybe the true heart of the problem has been solved because you don't need, or sometimes you can't even use a Tropius?
I think that they have done a really good job kind of kneecapping it because they've been banning Tropius so much. And Jump Luff, which is a million times more accessible, has become kind of like the new Tropius. And I think we've all got a Jump Luff by now. Or maybe not because it was a more expensive investment. But everyone could have one if you really want one. It's not like you have to fly across the globe to go get one. But still, like there's metas where it is allowed, where it's going to be allowed. And it's really aggravating when you know someone is spoofing and they have that Tropius and you don't. I don't really care so much about the IV thing. Like that's fine. You can have all the rank ones you want, but if you don't know how to use them, then it's fine. You're screwed anyway. So the rank things don't really bother me so much as the resource farming does when you're spoofing and you're able to do that. And I guess that's most of like an envy thing because I know I can't go out and spend 10 hours a day, driving around trying to find these things. Maybe I could if I were sitting at my computer or on my phone with a little joystick, letting it do all my catching for me. But I'm not going to do that because I'm a rule follower. So that's aggravating. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care. If you're going to spoof, you're going to spoof. If you're going to run sims, you're going to run sims. If you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. If that's how you really want to play this game, if that's how you want to get your wins, then fine. Like that's how you're going to get your wins. But it's not going to stop me from playing the game that I want to play and trying as hard as I possibly can to be the best battler that I can be. That sounds corny as hell. But that's just where I'm at. Like I don't care what anybody else is doing. I'm still going to try really hard to hand someone else their ass, especially if I know that they're a spoofer. That's only going to motivate me to try harder.
well, Alyssa just basically said, the mantra of the whole game, right, is to be the very best like no one ever was. So
I just want to be like decent. I don't even need to be the very
Right.
best. I just want to I just want to hit elite this season. That's fine.
So does anybody have an instance of regional based Pokemon or something where you have to spoof to a far away location other than Tropius that actually is like a hard benefit? Like I feel like it's hard to actually deny that Tropius was a major benefit to have in Tempest, and winning without it was extremely difficult. So
I wouldn't say it was extremely like it's just one of those things where it's like G-Fisk, right? It makes life easier. Heracross was another one that had
Mm-hmm.
has benefits. In the chat they're saying Torkoal. Like Torkoal is fun, but I wouldn't say it's completely competitive.
Right.
Relicanth got some play, but then it got completely nerfed with the Ancient Power debuff. Um, I just think that some people aren't stupid enough to use a Siglyph if they spoof, because it's like obvious, like, oh, clearly this person like spoofed for the Siglyph, but maybe Siglyph might be the next one because it has like a decent move set with like decent IVs. It's kind of like it's on that cusp where it might actually be usable. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things that like not every Pokemon that's original is really good. But they're just like one fast move or one charge move away from getting that kind of like treatment where they're gonna be decent. So I think that's what everybody's like really standing on is like, oh yeah, but if they just give Chad out like X, like a decent fat, like what if Chad got Gust? Like, oh now it's OP because it got like what I don't know, Heat Wave or Overheat, and like, oh it's so good now. It's just like, well, I don't know, like it's just one of those things that people just don't. They just, like I said, they're either hate it or they don't care. So
So Alyssa specifically says she doesn't care about people who spoof for IVs, and let's be clear about what we're talking about there. We're talking about people who scan and then spoof to a location to get IVs, and you say that doesn't bother you?
Let me correct myself. It bothers me, and I'm going to side-eye the fuck out of you if you say that you're spoofing. But I'm still going to battle you, and I'm still going to try really hard to beat you, and that's fine. Like, I think it's a crappy thing to do. Unless you're disabled, and then I guess I kind of, I have a heart.
Right.
But if you're just like a jerk and you're sitting there with your 6 accounts and you're spoofing and trading to yourself and IV swapping and all of that, like I'm going to roll my eyes so hard at you. And yeah, I think you're a turd and you probably don't need to be competitive. But I don't know. I'm so conflicted. Like, I don't know if I would go so far as to say they're deranked forever. I would maybe give them the season, but I'm not on Sylph, and I'm not on their staff, and I understand that this is not something that they have unlimited resources to follow up with people on. Like, these are volunteers who are giving us their free time for a thing that we enjoy doing, and they don't have to, and they're not paid for this. Yeah. And I'll support whatever they do.
Like, to me, the fact that unless Niantic and Sylph do a partnership, then that could probably make something where, like Sylph gets some information, they send it over to Niantic, like, hey, we got a problem with this person in our arena. Can you like look into it? Niantic can you look at it and be like, yeah, this person spoofs. Kill the account, or like give it like that, like ban or shadow ban. Well, I don't know how it works, but they'll basically tell them like, we know that you're spoofing, warning, and then that person gets deranked from Sylph and be like, okay, you can stop spoofing, right? And we will ask Sylph to kind of look in, or Niantic to look in on your account, and be like, hey, are you doing it again, or have you done it past this date? And if you have, then like your account is banned from the arena, and you have to make a new account, and Niantic will kill your old account or whatever, right? Or strike all your Pokemon so you can't use the PvP feature, or whatever it is, right? It'd be great if there was an integration in that, but since there probably never will be, it would be something like, hey, like you're suspected of it, we're gonna have to derank you, which means that your account is, tainted. If you make another account that's against TOS, and we don't condone breaking TOS things like multi-accounts and all that. So if you could, if you want to compete, then you're gonna have to like follow this new thing, which might be something like never using that account, or something, maybe changing the name on the account and deleting all the Pokemon and show us like an empty inventory shot for things that are in the Great League, right? Like anything CP 1500 or lower, you delete them all, and then that way you have to make a whole, like you can keep the level 40 account, but now you got to go hunting for these new Pokemon, and like all that dust that you have, sure it's dirty, but like we will just turn in a blind eye to that. Like even if you have 20 million dust, whatever, you got to go find real Pokemon, and you got to like trade and do all that stuff now.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand the logistics. I'm at the moment, I'm kind of trying to focus on what we actually want to see and what bothers us, because like I understand that I support Sylph in the way that they handle stuff as well. even though, you know, anyone is free to speculate or guess on any individual situation. For the most part, we don't have that information, so I don't try to do that. But the main thing to me is, like, we have to acknowledge that not all of this is going to be warm and fuzzy if it's a rank. Like, as long as somebody is competing and they're assigning numbers to it, like, there's got to be lines that are drawn, and those lines can be neat and tidy, or they can be messy, they can be difficult to implement, and that's really more on their end to decide what they're going to do as opposed to what really can be done. It's just, you know, if you're actually saying, what do you want your community to look like? Do you want to welcome people who have a history of spoofing, who are still spoofing? Like, is that all right with you, hypothetically, if you know that? And it seems like nobody here is too bothered by it. I mean, personally, I think that, you know, I haven't really said anything about the IV thing yet. Like, I'm incredibly bothered by the scanners and by people who spoof to scanners, because I do think that it really makes absolutely no difference whether you're disabled or anything else. It's completely irrelevant. Like, if you remove the the serendipity, the RNG of the game, and you just go and cherry pick all of the things that you want, it makes so many things easier. It makes spending your resources so much simpler. It makes everything in the game easier. And so I personally think that using scanners is scummy, and I know a ton of people that do it. I mean, plenty of people have admitted to doing it on my stream, and people that, you know, people respect for one reason or another. I personally think it's scummy, and it's not a question of whether I judge an individual person for doing it, but I don't want to compete against somebody who's cherry picking their IVs and just saying, I want a rank 1, I want a hundo, I want, you know, this one that I know I can set these parameters and find it. Like, I don't want to compete against that person, because that's not the world I'm living in, and they're living in a completely different reality. So, like, if they compete in GBL, which I don't care about, doesn't bother me as much, but it doesn't mean that I don't think it gives them an advantage. It just means that I don't care about GBLs. But when it comes to Sylph, which is trying to build something grassroots and with some integrity, that does bother me. It does bother me that people do that. And then going further, like what you're talking about with the resources, I mean, it goes further than that, because some of the people that I was acquainted with in Pennsylvania, where I think I've told people my community was very, very, very spoofer friendly, and I was just like, this is bizarre. You know, they called them air support as opposed to spoofers, and they just treated them like they were royalty, practically. Like, oh, these people are always so helpful, these people help us get stuff done, and it's like, whatever. But, you know, I didn't dislike them. I had fine relationships with some of them, but, you know, if I grabbed a meal with them, their phones were sitting there botting in another place, literally spinning stops and catching stuff and getting dust, and they would just grind it all up. Like, literally not playing the game at all themselves was giving them resources, and that was the way they played the game. And if you're somebody who's going to min-max everything, and you're out to get the very best, you're out to get the most Stardust, you're out to get the best IVs, then you're going to do that. Or you're like, it's a very thin line. I'm not saying everybody who spoofs does that or whatever, but like, there's so many of those people out there. And so, like, the Stardust, ultimately this game is driven by the Stardust economy, and the Stardust economy is completely warped when somebody can just sit there with a gacha and with their phone botted and just collect Stardust. I mean, they can do whatever they want. And every community day is another huge example. They would go to community days in other parts of the world, come back and do it in our part of the world. They would find wet areas that were weather boosted, so they could literally get weather boosted hundos of whatever the community day thing is. And you can't even manipulate that. Before there were even lucky trades, you could get a hundo. I'm trying to even think of an example at the time. It would have been like, you could get a hundo.
Or like the Halloween events, you can get that hundo Sableye.
Right, exactly. But I mean, it's like in terms of a timeline, it doesn't really make sense to me because there was a point where you could start lucky trading, where you could start catching up on community day moves. But there was a point where, like, literally, if you wanted a hundo of something and it was going to have like the community day move, then it was much easier to get it day of and find a place where it was weather boosted than it was to like farm lucky trades for it. And it's obviously never a guarantee when you do that. And the only reason that was less of an issue then was because Master League and Ultra League were not an issue. So a hundo Blastoise or a hundo Charizard or a hundo Venusaur or a hundo Swampert, like those were completely irrelevant. But like, you know, moving forward, you know, hundo Garchomp's incredibly relevant. You know, hundo
And
Machamp,
rare, or even Axew.
right, all sorts of things like that, incredibly relevant. And I mean, that's really the more important thing is, so I'm not going to mention this person's name because I do not want this to be a personal thing. Some of you will figure this out, but you know, somebody that I'm aware of was using a Haxorus in GBL Master League. And the story was, my friend was willing to double move this and trade it to me and lucky trade it to me. And Haxorus is very, very good and very unexpected in Master League because there are so few of them, and having a good IV one is even better. And being able to get ahead of the curve like that is massive. And so to me, like, that's also scummy. Like, if you say, I'm going to take this other person who's willing to do this, very likely the reason they were willing to do it is because they've got a scummy botted account and they were willing to double move it for you and then trade it to you. And they're willing to IV scan. And if they're willing to IV scan, they can also cherry pick Axew spawns, which are unbelievably rare. They're mostly in eggs, but if you're going to find them, you're going to find them because you're botting for the most part. You're not going to find a wild one. And so somebody being willing to do that and use that and like compete with that, like, I'm sorry, but it's scummy. And like, if that gives you a competitive advantage, I do have a problem with that. And so to me, I agree on some level with the idea that like spoofing itself is possibly over villainized in terms of the advantage it gives you compared to somebody who bots. But a lot of people that do one do both, I think, is the issue. Like, essentially, if you're willing to not be any sense of a rule follower, you're willing to do both. And so that's why I think it's easier for them to draw that line, because it's easier to show that somebody's spoofed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I understand the idea that people want to have the best tools, but like, I think Axew is arguably probably one of the best arguments against spoofers competing in GBLs that there's been in a while. Gibble, I mean, whatchamacallit, evolution of Gibble, Garchomp. Garchomp was somewhat of one, except for the fact that it got so diluted once all the Gibbles were everywhere. But I mean, that's ultimately, to me, where the competitive advantage in this game lies 90% of the time. The reason Tropius was so good was not just because it was powerful, but it was also because people who didn't have them and were not used to them were not able to scrim against them. We're not able to understand how they worked. We're not able to practice and strategize against them. They just had to like think of it in their mind. What's this bulky grass flying thing gonna do when I, mess with it? At the time, there wasn't even like a really reliable version of PV Poke to rely on to sim it out. So I don't know. That's a little bit different, but I mean, when you go to a tournament and somebody like a Max steps in and he's using spicy stuff, the reason that gives you an advantage is because they don't know what the moveset is. They don't know necessarily what the counts are. They don't know where its advantages lie and don't lie, and they know where the more common things lie. So if somebody's able to get something that's both powerful and uncommon at the moment, and they get ahead of the curve by trading with people who've botted and spoofed and whatever, like that's where the advantage really comes from.
yeah, like me being able to get I don't know, like the 3 cast forms at like level 35 weather boosted with the ideal IVs, like I can save on dust and all that stuff, and I just need to power them up, accordingly. And like people may not know about it, so they're kind of like, that's like how does he have all 3 of these like cast forms ready for this cup or whatever, like, and it's a meme and people are thrown off by it, like, okay, I get a win and all these things, or even like the what is it, the Warmadams. Like if I do
Mm-hmm.
something like that and
Oh
I
yeah.
sweep and people are like, what the hell? It's like, yeah, like, oh, Wormadam Trash is actually pretty good, and like you beat me with it and I didn't know, and it's like, yeah, I spoof to go get a shiny one and it's the perfect IV. So like it's all these things that people like, I can see it being an issue, but and I, like I said, I I can't judge them. To me, there's no hard line um on a lot of these things other than like it breaks TOS, which means that, okay, so you're willing to forgive some things on TOS, you're willing to accept some things on TOS, but then not like we cherry pick.
Cherry pick.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I oh okay. So because I haven't talked for a while, but I'm also doing GPL.
Ooh.
So sorry.
Oh,
Um,
all right.
my whole thing. Hey, I was doing homework all day. Okay, so um, um, I so it's like we're doing Niantic's job for them, kind of thing. We're taking the authority into our own hands and then deciding what we do with it. This is stuff that Niantic should be doing, right? But we're like kind of doing it for them, and it's like it can get nasty when that stuff happens. So, um, like my whole view on it is like I'm like both ways. Like I think both like all of us have brought up excellent points. Um, like I'm definitely on the side of Jiggly Dad where it's like I don't have an Axew. So I mean of course I'd use an Axew or a Haxorus if I had an Axew that was good, but I'm still lucky trading for one. So it's like I'm still looking for one, you know. They're not particularly easy to come by. Like I don't have any to trade right now, and I think the guy that wants to trade me one is asking for a mirror, and I don't have one, so I'm kind of bummed. But but yeah, it's like a I don't know. There are definitely things like getting ahead of the curve and like you mentioned earlier with the whole denying fast moves thing and all that can definitely benefit players if they know about these things. But for players that don't know, like that are coming into tournaments not expecting a Tropius, not expecting a Relicanth, not expecting a heaven forbid a Chatot, um, like they're just looking at these things. They're like, "Whoa, these are all really cool Pokemon that I've never seen in my life because they're region locked. I wonder what this thing does." And then they get hit by a heat wave from a Chatot. They're like, "What?" But like, yeah. So it's just one of those things where I feel like Niantic, we all know Niantic could be doing a better job of doing these things, but right now, you know I understand, like we all understand the circumstances and stuff like that, and times are tough. Maybe after the quarantine, they'll actually crack down, and maybe they'll do some things, and that would be that would be fine. Like then we wouldn't have to deal with all this administrative stuff ourselves. So then it would make everything else easier, and it would make maybe you'd even make the community better because we're already tight knit. So like if we didn't have all this administrative nonsense to deal with, maybe it would be better. I don't know. So yeah, yeah, that's my take.
So
I
what do you?
agree with everyone.
So he agrees with everyone. So I'm going back to just me. What do you guys think about this idea of TOS as a standard? I personally feel like it's irrelevant, but I know that a lot of people like to throw that out. I personally find that most of the time when that gets thrown out, it's a question of somebody justifying their own breach of TOS versus somebody else's breach of TOS, as opposed to somebody saying they're all equal. Because it's one thing to say, everybody I know does this, or I know so many people that do this, and we look the other way, but that's not the same as asserting that they're actually on the same level. So what do you think about the TOS as a standard? Do you actually think that is a standard? And beyond that, like, what do you think are the sins or the breaches of TOS or rules that would actually merit somebody being excluded from a community in one way or another, and which ones aren't?
Ethan?
Is that okay? Well, I think that in terms of banning for Sylph, I was talking about a little bit with Mel, but she was saying, like, I don't know if she wants me to voice this, but I'm going to anyways. But she was saying, like, I'm gonna voice it, but she was saying, like, if people are gonna be banned, like, they would have to, like, actually hurt someone, like actually do physical harm to someone, so I feel like, in the maybe we follow the, like, because the TOS for Niantic isn't necessarily a competitive TOS.
Right.
Hold on. Whoa. So yeah.
Right.
I think
in the law, there's an idea that you can try and figure out whether somebody is negligent based on whether they were following the law or not. And for the most part, you don't do that. You don't say because someone was breaking the speed limit, they were inherently negligent. Like, they're two different things. They're not meant to assess the same standards. They're not meant to protect the same interests. If you acknowledge that the rule is broken widely, then it's foolish to try and suggest that someone is unreasonable for breaking it. If you acknowledge that only a select few people do it, and that it actually reflects some sort of harm that they're inflicting, then it's worth thinking about. But that's, to me, the thing is that people just want to throw out TOS as just a blanket thing. They just want to say, well, TOS says this, TOS says that, you're cherry picking, you're doing this. And it's not about cherry picking. It's about, we as a community, Sylph being the community that's most prominent, has to set their own standards. And you can choose to have no standards, but I don't think that would be helpful either. I think that you at least want to discourage people from doing certain things. How you enforce that is different. But, like, what you want to discourage and what you want to ask for. And so I think it's just a question of what values do you think ought to be upheld. So, like, if somebody is multi-accounting, what do people think about that? I mean, it's obvious that that's something that is a hot button issue, and a lot of people say they know more people that do it than don't. I think that was what Alyssa said earlier, and certainly a lot of people do it. Where does that fall on the list of things in terms of whether it's ethical to do in a competitive environment, and ignoring the question of enforceability? Like, if somebody just openly says, I multi-account, should they be ranked in Sylph?
Isn't that kind of like the same thing as spoofing, though? Because you can use your alt account to swap Pokemon for better IVs all day long. So I feel like if we're going to just crucify one TOS violation, then maybe we need to be crucifying them all in the same account. Because the competitive advantage you're getting from spoofing, I mean, you could be getting that same competitive advantage from sitting there and trading your alt account for 2 hours until you get a perfect IV or rank 1 for Great League.
I mean, I think that there are competitive advantages to each, but it's like you have to. So if somebody breaks terms of service and they are playing the game while driving, do you think? Yeah. I mean, is that is not something that I would encourage. It's something everyone does, and because it has absolutely nothing to do with the way you compete in Sylph, arguably I would say it should be ignored. But these other things do. And so Do you think? I mean,
then
do you think if somebody came
so
forward and said, "I multi-account," do you think Sylph should be in a position, or an organization should be in a position where they're just like, "Okay, you can play, you just can't be ranked"?
I think there's TOS, which should be a standard to look at, right? So saying that if you break TOS as a blanket statement and like going from like say that's your baseline. Say like if you break a TOS per Niantic's things, then you are unranked or you're gonna be deranked. And then somebody coming in and saying like, well, I think that's wrong, and they give constructive criticisms like, well, what if they do like like your example? It's like, okay, like that's unreasonable for us to enforce, nor is it unreasonable for us to really. That's a on you thing. That's something that you're taking into your own account. If you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. We can hold you accountable for your own freedoms. And then like, okay, um, since that's the only one, then it's like if you bring 2S minus this thing, then you will be deranked. Well, what about, and we just kind of keep coming through with these things like, well, I feel like having alt accounts or multi-accounting is a significant advantage because then they can get more dust to double move stuff, or they can get some trades for like the legendaries or the
Mhm,
try to get those hundos. I feel like that
mhm,
because they basically have twice the amount of chances and sometimes twice the amount of dust depending on the circumstance. Um, because like if you get a lucky trade and you're gonna have like the best buddy friendship, therefore getting the lucky trade thing, then you can get a lot of extra chances,
right.
um, and possibly increase your chances of getting like the hundo or even like a 96 or a 98 where like that's good enough. Best buddy, you're set.
Uh,
Um, and like
Another
you can just start walking down from those things of like these things for competitive self in the scope of self. These things are the TOS terms that need to be that are forbidden or that are offensible. Any other TOS that's Niantic. What were you saying, Ethan?
Oh, I was just saying another thing is like with the multi-counting, um, getting multiple Pokemon that they offer in research,
Right.
and then like trading that to
Spiritomb.
yourself. So like
Spiritomb
Spiritomb,
is probably the biggest one I can think of
that's
that
a
was
big point of
exploited.
contention.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What was the meta where Spiritomb was? It was ranked number
Not
one. It was
mm,
arguable, debatable whether you
not
needed it or not, but it was
Nightmare,
one where if you
Twilight.
had multiple accounts and you were lucky to get good IVs on it, you had a leg up.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
Nightmare, but um, either way, yeah, that was a big point of contention, especially for someone like me. I think. Well, I don't. I think I've
Well,
told you
also
guys.
eggs, right? Like if you are walking the same amount, you can hatch twice the amount of eggs potentially, which
r-
means that if you get the 7K eggs, you can get things like a berserker and start building it faster and using less rare candies than somebody else.
I would say
Yeah,
the
so
I would say the eggs are a little bit different just because you can so
that's
readily spend money to hatch them on one account. But I
yeah.
mean, it's certainly an advantage, but I don't think it's one you can't replicate with legitimate quote unquote means of
More I
money.
was more of what I was talking about was like Grass Knot Cresselia and Groudon
Right,
when that was available.
right,
That's huge.
right.
That is absolutely huge. If you have multiple accounts, like, um,
Or the
I
rocket
mean,
stop to try to get, because we didn't know how valuable Purify
Oh.
Sableye was going to be. So like if
exactly.
you do one location, you can get two Sableye.
Hmm.
You purify them and mirror trade. Sweet. One of them gets the good one, maybe the other one doesn't, but then that alt account you can still use for GBLs. Get to rank 7 or 8
Yeah.
or
And
whatever,
you
and you
get
get
an
the
Elite
elite
TM,
TMs.
and then you Elite TM something.
Right.
Yeah,
The elite
exactly.
TMs are definitely a huge part of the equation too.
Yeah, so in terms of min-maxing, which is what we were talking about earlier, I think people that have multiple accounts definitely have a huge layup. Uh, they have a leg up on pretty much everything, like GBL, like raid counters, like they're. I mean, I don't. It's a tough. Like we have to crack down and say like if we're gonna be serious about it, like we need to say like you know, even for people that may just have like accounts for Like I have like my mom's account, right? Like I don't play on my mom's account anymore, and I don't even like I don't like she doesn't even play, like she doesn't care. And I tried to get her into PvP or something, but she just does not care. So I just like I only stick with my one and that's it. Like I will even be open with everyone. Like when the game first came out, made 3 accounts, one for each team, had Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, just in case they'd release because I was thinking about min-maxing, right? Just in case they release it for each team, I wanted to be ready to trade it all to one account. Like, and I know like a lot of people made multiple accounts at the beginning. And since this whole thing has divulged, right, and we have like actually like a serious convo about like having multiple accounts, account sharing, all that, like I don't use those accounts at all anymore. And like they're just gone. And I'd rather just play on my main anyways because like it's just more fun. I don't have like there's no reason to play on because we have the legendaries and raids. So that was my only reason for making it, and it it doesn't even like I don't have multiple Cresselias, and I didn't even get a Cresselia on my main. So I'm
You
sad.
didn't get a Grassnot Cresselia in your
No, I
main?
didn't.
Oh my lord.
No, I didn't. So I don't even have that. Like so I don't use my ults. I encourage everyone, if you do have alt accounts, don't use them. They're not like don't use them. If we're really gonna crack down on this, like set an example, you know? If we're gonna consider all of it, one of it bad, we have to consider all of it bad, including driving. So there's an argument to be made about driving. So what if you're driving, right? Like let's just put this scenario out there. You're driving, right? And you're playing Pokemon Go without a gotcha. This is a really specific example. Without a gotcha, and you catch a rank 1 while driving, what do you do? Or like how does that portrayed, you know, with someone that isn't playing while driving?
All right. So the reason why I am bringing up the example of playing while driving is that
Right.
when you play while driving, you are engaged.
You put people at risk.
You are engaged in something which is a safety issue. It has absolutely nothing to do with the IVs, but
Definitely.
it doesn't in any way circumvent the RNG of the game, the serendipity of the game, the randomness.
Right, you're putting
of what
people
you're
at
coming
risk. Yeah, you're putting people at risk while you're catching a rank 1. Like
Right, but you're not increasing your chances of getting a rank 1 by doing that. You're not gaining a competitive advantage because the same rank 1 that you're catching now, especially if you're playing without a gotcha while you're driving. Good lord.
Oh no! I hope people aren't doing that.
I'm just this example.
So
I've never done that.
but if you're doing if you're doing that, what really matters is the competitive advantage or lack thereof. It's not the random rank 1 that you get. If you get that, you're also going to pick up a couple hundred garbage Pokemon along the way, and you have to manage those just like you do everything else in the game. So to me, there's absolutely no argument that driving while playing is a competitive PvP advantage. I mean, I have my own issues with the game and the fact that it encourages driving while playing and driving and raiding for the most valuable resources, but that's not the same as saying that it would actually give anyone a competitive advantage in PvP. It's just the way they choose to play it. If you're walking and you have your full focus on the game and you're fast catching, which requires 2 hands, like you are going to get more resources. You are going to get more catches. You are going to be able to scan your IVs better. So, I mean, to me, it's a black and white thing there that even though I would discourage it, it's not. But I just don't think that TOS are a baseline at all. Like I think that the spirit of the game is a baseline, and the spirit of the game is that you are out in the world catching random Pokemon that you come across in your travels that are not scanned by a computer, that are not you going somewhere you are not, that are available where you are at the time that you're there, not the time your friend is there because you want it, because somebody's doing you a favor. Like none of those are in the spirit of the game, and all of those give you a competitive advantage. And so to me, that's relevant. I think when somebody says TOS, like I feel like that's not scratching the surface of the issue at all, because there are plenty of you can't. It's against TOS for Pokeminers to do what they do. Do I appreciate what they do? Yes. Do I follow them on Twitter? Yes. Do we talk about it on this show? Yes. Do I think that me talking about it, encouraging it, looking at their tweets, going on their, being a member of their dirty Discord, and what, like, do I think that should be a competitive? It's not a competitive advantage, because everybody gets that information soon after it's out there.
No. They are dirty because they're miners, and miners are known to get dirty mining for information, mining for their stuff.
Yes,
so
they're covered in soot
Discord.
and coal.
They are dirty miners indeed. Confirmed.
Right. I didn't dispute that it's a dirty Discord. I'm saying, should I be banned from participating in PvP if I'm a Pokeminer? If I'm somebody who has the skills to go into the code and I do that for the community, and technically I'm breaking TOS, but I'm absolutely in no way whatsoever giving myself a competitive advantage, because that information is going right out there into the community. I say that it's a black and white issue. It has nothing to do with it, and that's what you see these things where TOS is not the issue. It's not TOS. It's, does it give you a competitive advantage, and is it in the spirit of what this game is supposed to be about? It's like, it's a game you go out and play.
Well, I come from the background, like I've told you guys, like it's never going to be an esport. Pokemon Go PvP went downhill after Orlando and Portland. Like it's just never gonna. That we climax. We're now in the silver or bronze age of PvP. The golden age is over. So, and that's why with me it's just like, all right, you just like, that's why I say just use TOS as your baseline, because I don't think it's ever, like, you have to have something for the arena to exist. So you have to start from somewhere. It may not be the best spot, but you got to have something. You got, like you said, you got to have rules, or else like why even bother having an arena? And so that's why I say like that would be the baseline. But if they wanted to make this actually competitive, and actually then Niantic should be enforcing things on their own with their GBL thing, where there's a strike on your account for being a known spoofer. When you sign up for GBL, your Pokemon automatically black out. Like they get one hit and KO'd. Because like, oh, like it's a bug, whereas like now your Pokemon just faint, and we want to discourage you from spoofing, so we want to make it where you can't participate in GBLs. Your raid mons get, like, they can't do damage, or you can't participate in events, like you can't get rare Pokemon, you can't do raids, you can't, whatever it is, like they bug your game so that you're like, man, this sucks, I'll just stop playing the game, or I'll rehabilitate, because we're saying this like they're a freaking drug addict. So I mean, like, the game is addicting, so I guess, right? But we just like
we
Niantic
take
has
this
to do
thing
something.
too serious. We take this game too seriously.
Well, it's all on Niantic, right? Like they gotta police the game. You're saying that we're self-policing,
Right. We're
for
taking
this
our
private
matters
arena.
into our own hands. I don't think we can handle it.
Yeah, so just like, and that's why for me it's like it's never gonna be an esport, because we can't even do some of these fundamental organization and rules and stuff like that. So just have fun and
We
just
get
stop.
we get mad when we get a bad lead.
No,
So it's like
no. We get mad when what was one thing that recently everybody was getting uproar about? Like we get mad when a hundo runs away from us, right? And we're
oh
like,
well, I
but it's
mean,
a hundo, like it should
Nobody
be,
mentioned
a
that just on
guaranteed
this
catch.
episode. Never.
It should be a guaranteed catch. Shinies were supposed to be a guaranteed catch, and I
I
saw
mean,
on
I'm
Twitter
not saying I'm
a
entitled.
girl. No, but
I'm
like
not
we
saying I'm
get really
entitled, but
upset, and we get pent up about that, when
I
really
really
just kind
do.
of like, all right, like it's no different than any of the other interactions. Why? Oh, because it's a hundo, so like I deserve it. Like that's the feelings that this game
But yeah.
evokes from us, right? And I'm not saying that
Mhm.
it's a bad feeling or whatever. Like I know that happened to you, Ethan, and it sucked.
It did. I was bummed out all day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things, like that game evokes these feelings,
Yeah.
right?
That's how it
And
goes. Well,
it's not really the healthiest, but at the same time, like when you get caught up in this echo chamber sometimes of like, I deserve it, and then somebody else
mhm.
is like, well, I deserve this. Well, I'm entitled to
Yeah.
that, and I should have won that game because I'm a better player. That person sucks, and whatever. And like, it just perpetuates, and it turns into this big snowball of negativity. It turns into a shadow ball, if you will. Um, and like, that's what this game does, and it's poorly regulated and enforced. It performs very poorly. How many times have you shielded and the Pokemon and your shield wasn't even put into play? You saw the animation, but the move comes in and nukes your Pokemon, and you still have a shield. Like, well, what good is this shield gonna do with me now? Like, I just lost the game, and it's
I
because weak connection and all this other stuff. Like, the game is not high caliber, so we just need to accept that and be like, look, if the game is not high caliber, and we're trying to enforce these like really high level rules and stuff like that, then I think we need to like look at the rules at where the game is, which is like the game sucks. So let's just make sure that our rules are like this kind of casual thing. And if you don't like it, then you can make your own arena. Or you can make
right.
your own like high end competitive thing. Like I know people who basically gamble, like this underground like fight club for Pokemon Go PvP tournaments where it's like $20 buy-in. Winner walks away with like 160 bucks. It's an all or not
I
tournament.
feel I feel like that's unhealthy for the state of the game right now.
No, but that's what people do, right? They're like,
Right.
I don't like this Sylph thing, so they do their own. Okay,
Right.
well then like if people
That's
want this like really high end esport feel and make their own arena
that just seems like a pitfall. I'm sorry. Yeah,
with
but yeah.
like the rules that are like you cannot spoof, you cannot multi account. Basically what the what is it, the 40 club does, where it's like it's very elite.
Right.
You have your king
Well,
points, you have to have these things, you have to like apply to even be part of the club. They did their own thing. I have no care or concern with any of that. So I don't get upset when they have their rules, whatever, or they change the rules or they found cheaters in their club. It's like that's on them. That's for them to figure out. That's okay. Oh, hold on, scientist, your thing comes up.
oh
They
no.
saw the comment down, Max, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But like they have those type of things, like because that's their own club.
Right, right, right,
And
right. Yeah. And
so
so, yeah,
if people want like a very exclusive like esport competitive game with these rules like spoofing and multi account, then like they can do that. If not, then they have to accept the terms that are laid before them, which is maybe not the most stringent of rules. Maybe
right.
they're more forgiving and just stick with arena
S-
or join the arena team and voice their opinions and be a guide and try to help.
So I think an issue for Pokemon right now, or Pokemon Go, is that it was very much a community-based game, and it still is, but it was very much a community-based game when the pandemic wasn't a thing. And I'm not blaming the pandemic. Shouldn't blame the pandemic. You shouldn't blame anything, honestly. We're not entitled.
Seriously,
We don't
Ethan, if you
blame
want to
things.
blame the pandemic, go ahead and blame the pandemic. It has no feelings.
No, but no, but blaming isn't good. It's not good behavior. So, um, but what we should do, right, um, is try to interact more. Like we talked about the whole like doing tournaments in like a Discord chat, like with like your table in the Discord chat. I love the whole table idea. That, by the way, that's like when I went to LA and did the whole tabling thing, that was so much fun, but it's a lot of organization. So I'm sure you were like freaking out, Max. Um but I was gonna say that this game has become such a solo game like over these past few months because of GBL, because of how many sets we get per day. And that's why we take it so seriously because we're so hard on ourselves because we have these number of battles we can do per day in GBL. And then if we make a mistake, it's all on us. Like it's not on it's or I mean it's on the game, but we sometimes we internalize it because we only have these certain amount of sets and like we want to do the best we can and like if things don't go our way, then we'll like either blame the game or we blame ourselves because like I don't know. I feel like that's unhealthy. I feel like the point of the game is to go out, catch Pokemon, and be with other people. And GBL, like, while it's great and all for the spike of PvP on Twitch and stuff, like this is where I really like side with with Jiggly Dad, because it's totally a game where you go out and catch things with your community and have a good time. That is this game. It isn't a game. It isn't Pokemon sit at home and play PvP. It isn't Pokemon Go sit at home and do raids. It isn't Pokemon Go, anything like that. It isn't Pokemon anything like that. It's Pokemon Go. So, like if the whole point of the game is kind of um, blurred by this pandemic, like we're going, but there's like no one outside. And so it's like it's a hard thing because it's becoming more of a solo game, and we're taking it seriously because we don't have a community to back us up, or we don't have like just like a system, like at least at an in-person tournament you have like people you can connect with, that you can like check in like progress, like how you're doing um each round. Like I would, like at the LA Mega, I met up with like Marcos Modern Life, like John and like King Charmanders, and we would talk about how we did in each round and then move on to the next round. Like we would meet up, we like ask how we did, what we took away from the match, like, and those are all healthy experiences that we don't have anymore. And it's like we need that again, because if we don't get that, this game is just going to become more and more solo, and we're going to lose more and more people. And so, I don't know.
Let me I'll be right back. I'm gonna go hatch some eggs with my egg rocker real quick, and I'll be right back.
For sure.
Or no, I'm sorry, my GBL walker, so that way I can do more battles. Remember when this was a big issue?
You know what's really funny though, Max, is when you hold that up, it gets blurred out, kind of like
actually can't see it.
Yep.
Oh, it's because there we go. Beautiful.
I think
it's like you're giving the finger to all of us, and Twitch is telling you no.
There you go, censored, right? It's
Yep.
censored.
Google Meet or Twitch or somebody says that's not happening. Oh no, Victor. Alyssa has not raged. Alyssa's not raged.
So yeah.
Why would I rage?
You wouldn't. That was a topic of discussion last night on Boomers. That he thought that just the one time that happens, he wants to be around to see it.
No, you're so nice. Not you. Someone else, maybe.
Oh man. But like people, we saw like this week on Twitter, right? Like there's a huge outpouring of I don't know, of showing love and respect for Simply Moxie, who recently stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's been around for a long time, like King days, and as someone like that high a caliber, like being around in the community, trying to grow the community, it's just like people like that are leaving because like Pokemon Go is no longer interesting, and Pokemon Go is becoming, they see this pattern that I'm talking about right now. They're seeing that the game is becoming more of a solo game, and that's not why they play this game. They play this game because it's a community game, because it got them outside, it got them talking to new people, it got them, interacting and experiencing new climates, new places, and they got to enjoy being outside while playing one of their favorite games, and like Pokemon, right? And that's something we all share, and we don't have that as much anymore because we don't have the motivation to go outside. There's no one outside, like I said. Like our communities are like going out less and less nowadays because they're staying inside, either playing GBL or other games. So
do you think it's maybe COVID though? Like none of us can really gather as a community. A lot of my community was focused on getting together for tournaments, and we can't do that. So my local community has taken a complete nosedive to the point where we didn't even do monthly tournaments because nobody wants to do the remote ones. Like we've got like the handful of regulars who compete with AR PvP anyway, but they're like, why do I need to play with Cabot when I'm already playing an AR PvP and it's a couple of the same people? And then we'd have like 10 or so locals in Cabot, which is my hometown, where they're like, we don't want to do remote tournaments. It's not the same thing. It's not fun. So that just whole aspect of Pokemon Go has just completely died, and it's ruining it for them.
And I was just about to get to the whole COVID thing. That's all like due to COVID. Like they're at home playing other games, GBL, like not doing other things because of the pandemic. So we're not able to meet up, talk with our communities. Like during community day, like I would make an effort to go to like the newer people at UCR, like hanging out, like the like families and stuff, check in with them, make sure they knew where like the best way to like the best grinding loops and stuff. Like I would like show them like where you should walk, and like none of that exists anymore because we're all inside. So it's like my local community too. You're saying your community in Cabot's dying, like Riverside. It's literally, I feel like the only people that play Pokemon Go in Riverside are literally me, the people in our group chat, like that I used to play with all the time. At UCR, like their fellow people that work at UCR, and then like a couple, maybe like a few students I see like play, like one or two when I go on Tuesdays. So those are like literally the same faces I see. I don't see anyone else outside. So like it's sad. We used to have our Discord used to be really annoying. Our Discord used to be talking all the time about random things, and I miss that. Like I miss people posting videos about like random Pokemon like TV references, and then people would be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that," and I was like, "What? Why are you bringing this up in a Pokemon Go chat?" And like, I don't really even moderate it anymore because like the only thing that's active, I will say, the only thing that's active in our Discord right now is it's proved to be still active is the whole what's it called? The CP counting game. I don't know if you guys have that in your Discord. But do you remember that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's still going. People are still posting.
There's that one. There's also the like you catch the Pokemon by just spamming crap in the chat and then like
Pokecord's dead.
Oh.
Yeah, that died.
Dead?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
That
really
was
sad.
so fun though.
It was so much fun, and I had so many
about
Pokemon.
this one.
Oh,
I mean,
it's
I'm
so
kind of
much
glad
fun.
that it's gone for the sake of my notifications, but that
Oh
sounds
well, I mean,
you could mute it.
you just
Stop
mute it, yeah.
No,
And
I know I
so
could mute it, but like Jesus, whenever I joined a new Discord and they had that, I would just I'm getting blown the fuck up, like muting this server, and then I would miss the tournament. I'm like, God damn you, Pokecord, but like I know some people loved it, so I was like,
it's so fun. I
it
made
was
so many
so much fun.
friends just because of that like stupid bot. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so odd the things
It-
you bond over.
Exactly. So like, and I had tons of resources in that too, and I was really sad when that went away too. So like, the only thing that's proved to be successful is a CP counting game. So if anyone doesn't have a CP counting game in their local Discords, I encourage you to I encourage you to start, because it's just, I don't know. This is like the only way we can connect with people nowadays. Like literally, like I look at someone that used to go to UCR, like he's a graduate now, and he's still posting the CP counting game, and I just check his Stardust every once in a while because it's there, and I was just like, wow, you have so much now, and it's like really surprised. So yeah, it's that's literally the only way I can bond with the community now, is just the CP counting game. So
that's sad. So
yeah,
trying to refocus, if we all agree that the best part of this whole thing is the community and getting to interact with the community. Does it follow to you that because the community is the best part, that the rules ought to revolve around the factors that we've kind of danced around and talked about, like, oh, so and so is a good person, so and so, maybe they've spoofed but they did it for the right reasons, or we just want to get along and it doesn't matter if they can win? Or do you think that they're separate?
I think that it's one of those things where if you spoof and you get caught, then you got to pay the penalty, which is you can't play competitively. You're more than welcome to play in the arena as an unranked or D-ranked or whatever it is player. Um, but and if you win, then you're either hollow victories, just like how your Pokemon might be hollow with Dirty Dust. Um, like it's just that I think that's just what you have to do. If you have multi accounts and you fess up to it, and say like, oh yeah, I have like 5, 6, 2, 1 alt account that I use for the purposes of harvest, then like you know sorry, you have to be deranked or you have to stop that or something. Like there needs to be these rules where we have uh, a community consensus of like this is the best fit scenario, and everybody has to understand like you can't, not everyone's going to be happy on this issue, on these
Right.
rules and these policies. And if, like I said, if you don't like them, make your own arena, make your
Right.
own like tournament organization stuff. And as we've seen, like we have KBLs, which I don't know if that's still alive. I haven't participated in it, but they have like KBLs where like that's its own little separate entity. There's the AR PvP type of thing. They make their own little system of things and their own tournaments and their own arena of stuff, but they follow the rules that are basically self rules. And but they choose to follow those rules. So you can choose to make your own rules and make them as stringent and as invasive as possible. And if nobody plays in it, then that should say something about what the community thinks of that. And we just kind of find the best fit scenario and play the game that however you feel you can. And if you want to spoof, then that's fine. Just know that that means you can't play competitively. Stick to GBLs, or just automatically opt out and just know, or just become deranked and know that this is the consequence. And if people get upset with you, you're gonna have to accept like that's what you're signing up for. Um, you know, and I think that's just kind of how it goes. I don't really think that and then like if say for the whole like reintegration aspect of this conversation, the person shows, like I said, I think the best compromise is having them like I've deleted everything from the date that I got caught or I was outed or whatever, like pick a date. Everything's been deleted from CP 1500 or below. If you want to keep all the stuff that's not under the Sylph umbrella, because it's mostly Great League right now. If they had Ultra League and Master League, then maybe. But as it stands, Great League only exists. Anything in Great League that was potentially tainted, those have to be deleted, and you have to start from scratch there. You can keep your account because, like I said, Sylph saying make a new account is Sylph saying please break Niantic TOS. So, like I wouldn't think that an organization telling you to break another organization's rule is exactly like the best practice. Just delete all the stuff and or overpowered, sure, if they want to use them for Ultra League or something, like sure. But you cannot be using those Pokemon for these competitive things, and now you may become competitive this month. If you show us a screenshot of that, we'll take your word for it. We'll put it in your file, whatever it may be. You're now reinstated. But any other further practices means that you will be opted out, forcibly opted out for the rest of the season. 3 strikes, and your account will be banned. Something like that. Those are just my ideas of what it could possibly be. And whatever the community accepts is whatever I accept. And I can always choose to not be part of the community because I don't agree with them. So
I think that sums it up in large part in terms of my feelings as well, in terms of the fact that somebody's got to make the rules. This organization came forth, set some rules that I think most people are fairly happy with, or at least most people were happy enough with it to get on board. And if they're not, then fine. I mean, I'm always trying to bring people over to the Sylph side, and I get complaints, but it's not usually something I identify with. Arguably, the question of reintegration it's one that has always been there, but I guess it was made more complicated by the fact that Sylph allowed fine folks like yourself, Max, to re rank if you were so inclined, if you had deranked for completely unrelated reasons, making it a season by season determination. So they were trying to make a step in the right direction by giving people more flexibility, by just kind of treating the seasons as distinct, and not taking a sort of huge stakes kind of thing where you like have to make this decision that you're stuck with for the rest of your gaming life. So I think that is admirable, and without getting into specifics, I think trying to opt back in when you opted out under pretenses that you acknowledge spoofing, I think is not a fair practice or something that one should have expected to go well. But let all of anyone who has been deranked in the past, I believe for the most part, the people have either done it voluntarily or kind of like a resignation, if you will. When people sign a resignation letter instead of getting fired, it's basically like you're not banned, but you're basically banned. It looks neater if somebody says, you know, there's always a chance that they could come back, or they're not admitting fault. It's like, you know, pleading no contest instead of pleading guilty to a crime because you don't want to have like a certain crime on your record. You don't want to have a DUI. You don't want to have whatever. So there's lines that are drawn there, and, you know, for whatever reason, certain people have been deranked, and there was an association with that they were spoofers. So does the fact that we now have the ability to opt in, if somebody were to like dishonestly, shall we say, just decide to opt back in on the hopes that nobody notices, does that change the equation to you at all versus them going through official channels and being like, you know, what can I do to opt back in, or is there any way I can opt back in instead of being underhanded about it?
I think, like, see, like, this is the part where it kind of gets a little bit like too personal and not so much a rule thing, because you try to show like you've changed, which shows like character growth, um which is kind of like, you know, you have to get a little bit more personal, which I think makes for a bad rule or a very subjective rule. So I think it might be something like I know for the allowing people to opt back in, it was based majorly or mostly on the fact that um like I opted out after regionals, but then there was like this wild card aspect, and because I opted out, I couldn't even participate in wild cards. So the thought process was sometimes people make mistakes and we're always changing things up. So now people might think I'll opt in because maybe I get scummed out of regionals because that meta sucked for me, but the wildcard meta might be different and I'll sign up for that. And maybe I have a better chance of that. And I have like a chance for a second light or something, even if it's the same meta. You know what? I know where I went wrong. Let me change a couple of things up and try to give this another go and get into continentals, versus feeling like it's all here at this one tournament in this meta that I may not like and I'm screwed. Also, maybe being able to do maybe there's something in the works for like GoFest or mega tournaments or something where they have these other events and these side events, um, where you can be ranked and do something fun or whatever. Like they they don't know exactly what they want to do. They're always having something in the works. So the arena was like, why don't we just give people the option now? Because how does it harm giving them the option to screw the season, it sucked, versus opting back in. I'm like, I'm feeling it this season, you know, and just to have that mental weight lifted off of you. So they said like, what's the downside? How does it hurt anybody? No. So why not give them the option? And like I believe that was the mindset on that issue. And then people saying like, well, I can possibly opt in with this new season 3 thing of like, well, I realize that I screwed up. I don't want to screw up anymore. I want to be a part of it because like I feel alienated from the community. I feel like I've lost some friends. I feel like I let everybody down because you said it's a community aspect and all these different equations that could possibly go in. And it's like, you know, we want to bring players back in because the whole game is community. So we want to keep the community instead of saying like, oh, you cheated or you got caught, get left out, and then which might incentivize people going, oh well, this guy cheats and this guy spoofs and this guy spoofs all the time. Why don't you guys whatever? It makes it more of a building rather than a breaking of communities. So I think that's the aspect of that, and it got lost because Twitter is just Twitter, and COVID doesn't help. So I think that's where these things are kind of getting lost in translation. But I would hypothesize that if we didn't have that aspect of COVID, then it might have been more like, somebody walking over to like our spoofer friend here and be like, you know what, dude, like you fucked up, but it's all right. Like, let me talk to Sylph and see what we can do to talk to Sylph. Hey, like my Sylph guide, my local guide, or my local Sylph person, like, can we get them back on? Okay, so let me go talk to the big guys, and the big guys blow everything down. They make something healthy and building and rehabilitative, and like more of like, yeah, the game really incentivizes you to cheat to play efficiently, right? Like the game makes so many paywalls. The game makes seem things so time locked and so exclusive and so special, that you kind of need to cheat to not lose out on FOMO, which this game really wants you to like. It really preys on your needs of FOMO and anxiety, um, and having like the best possibilities. So the game kind of incentivizes you to cheat. So how do we break that community? Okay, so we're not really trying to be super competitive. We're just trying to have a good time with friends, and hopefully somebody gets the luck of the draw. Somebody finds the golden ticket, and we cheer that person on, versus saying, "Oh fuck you! You don't even GBL. Like you don't even PvP. I deserve that rank one or that good Pokemon for battling. You don't deserve it because I'm owed it." Type of philosophy. So maybe that's something that we can work on with this community stuff, and that might have been the different timeline if COVID didn't exist. Unfortunately, this is our reality. We're not in the best timeline. We're in the darkest timeline, confirmed. Um, so I think that's just one thing that we need to take one step at a time. Is that Self is trying something, just like how Niantic is trying something. Niantic has I think the only monopoly on AR, like IRL games, right? Like there's no other game like it where you can go and like interact with something with this AR feature. It's all Harry Potter, Ingress, and Pokemon, which is all Niantic.
What was the game that a few of the Pogo YouTubers picked up for a while, where there were literally like knockoff Pokemon that were, one was like a toilet and things like that. There have been people.
Also the Jurassic Park version.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are a few knockoffs, but I think it's obvious that Niantic has somewhat the corner on the market for one reason or another. Draconius Go, there we go. That was oh my god. That
Draconius Go, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, like, this is the best one, right? And like,
Right.
there's not too many. Like, go play that game. Well, no, it sucks compared to Pokemon Go. Oh yeah, it's trash compared to Pokemon. Okay, well then, like, this is the only game you can do, right? So they're the pioneers, right? So if you have to pick a game that's like this is the premier game, and it's not the best. So like, what are you gonna do? Like, you gotta accept it. You gotta try to make it better. You gotta give constructive criticism, or just go play something else. And that's just something that we have to understand, that this game and this type of game is very experimental. The developers don't even know, right? They're trying to pioneer and R&D this thing, and they have no idea what the hell they're doing. Nor do they probably have the resources that they understand. Like there might be an engineer, a game engineer out there, like, no, like based on my calculations, this should work. You guys just aren't implementing it correctly. It's just like, well, then just like overpower it, and just like just don't ham fist it, but just like beef things up, or have like, oh no, like my calculations are always correct. It's like, okay, drop the ego, or find somebody else to like give this guy a run for his money to really like think things through, like based on the users and the customer dissatisfaction, we need to do something. And just kind of like Niantic's got to just get a kick in the pants to really figure this stuff out. Plus, we need to be understanding that this is a very experimental type of game. Like, there's no other game really like it. They may not know exactly what the hell they're doing. So we gotta like be a little bit understanding on that. But other than that, just like stop playing the game, come play Phasmophobia with me or something, and die like Ethan last night.
So much fun.
Oh,
So much fun.
all right.
Like
So,
I don't know.
so another aspect of this conversation, which I will not get into details on, but does the fact that some of the specific bands in Sylph have their roots in some very specific and controversial situations, does that change the fact that we think that some people ought to be reintegrated that were banned? Or do we think that once you kind of, or not banned, sorry, unranked, or do we think that that decision should still stand and it really doesn't matter what the history is?
I think what Sylph has done, where they're not banned, they're free to compete, but their rank is gone. Like, I think that's kind of like, that's okay. Like, they're still able to compete. They're still kind of ranked, because even the unranked people are, you can still tell if they're a challenger or if they're elite. Like, they're still up there. They're still sorted by rank, so you can kind of see where they're falling. And they're still allowed to compete. They're not saying like, oh, you can't play at all. And your speech earlier kind of swayed me, where you said you were having a meal with a friend who had their phone going and it was just collecting all these resources while you were having a meal and definitely not playing. That kind of, I don't know. You made me go from this isn't that bad, it's just spoofing, it's whatever, to oh my God, what a piece of shit. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think you swayed me a little bit. And that's great, because that's what these discussions are really supposed to do, is like foster our thought. So I think, yeah, I don't know. You guys are bad. Don't spoof. That's where I'm at right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
so
for me, it's like they can have a reintegration, and there should be a process for it. I'm okay with it.
I'd be okay with a reintegration if they promised they weren't going to do it again.
So my take on it again is, if you're gonna be, if you're gonna be someone that's doing it like that, that's pretty, you're like right there, and like, of course I'm gonna be like why are you in the same, why are you here? Like what like, can you see me? Like, obviously I'm not gonna say that to them, but like I'm just gonna side eye them, probably, like Alyssa. I'm just like, really? Like, okay. But like, if you're gonna be like that about it, then why? Like why? I don't know.
I think that there's I don't know if it's a simple way to put it, but I think what it all comes down to that is never really voiced is that we all talk about how this is a community game, and at the heart of Sylph is community, and we want to play with the people that we think are good people that share our values, people that are enjoyable to be around, people that are not scummy. And a lot of us will generalize about what we think about spoofers, about multi-accounters, about whatever. But most of those ideas come from, I don't like Joe the spoofer who always posts his hundo shiny on community day in the Discord. He makes me feel bad. He's a jerk. Fuck him. Like, that's like, those kind of things are what feed into it. And you kind of imagine, if Joe the spoofer represents your average spoofer and they've all got all of these hundos or perfect IVs, then like, that's screwed up, and I don't want to be part of anything with Joe the spoofer. And I think that's really what drives this all. It's like Sylph trying to build a community. They have to have some standards. It doesn't have to be like some magical everybody agrees on it standard, but it's like, it's really ultimately we want to build something where we can all relate to each other on a basic level. It's about enjoying a game together. It's not about you playing a very, very modified version of the game in your own way to maximize resources versus me playing a game that's meant to be, good for you, recreational, get out, fun, not spontaneity. What's the word I keep using? The
Serendipity?
Serendipity. There you go. It's supposed to be a serendipitous game. It's supposed to be a personal game where you like play with things that you enjoy using. It's supposed to be all of these things, and like the further you get away from that, then the less those people have in common with you and the less you want to build a community with them. And so when you set forth a standard that says this is where we draw a line, this is what we don't support, this is what we don't allow, then I think that it kind of signals to people like these are the kind of people we want involved. And I think that that's healthy, and I think it's normal, and I don't think you can build any sort of community of any sort without having those kind of standards, whether it's a community I want to be a part of or not. You have to have some standard. So I think that it is worthwhile that those kind of standards are there. Getting into like I said, some of the reasons people are unranked are controversial, and I think the reason they're controversial is because people worry about things about like what do you have to do to show proof? I showed proof of this person, and why aren't they banned? And so what do you guys think in terms of that? Like, what should be the layer of proof that ought to be someone ought to be held to? I think a lot of people worry, get frustrated, annoyed about the fact that they don't have perfect X-ray vision into Sylph's process or Go Stadium's process or whoever's process into what your local Discord's process in deciding who gets banned and who doesn't. There's always some person making that call. But what do you think should be like the actual way that people, if we assumed that spoofing was not allowed, would be banned? Would it be only people who admitted it? Would it be only people who, I don't know, because obviously a lot of this grew out of the red warning, the infamous red warning, and people drew conclusions from that that they felt justified in drawing. And so does that play into it as well?
So I'm not gonna lie, we definitely checked every single person that was competing in ARPVP for a shadow ban with the invites to the raids when we were able to do that. We checked every single person. We weren't gonna ban anybody who came up with that, but it was kind of just to have an idea of who we needed to kind of be aware of to make sure they weren't going out of their way to do anything else that was shady. So we did that. We didn't mention anything to anybody or anything like that because it wasn't our job. Like it wasn't our job to go through and decide who was cheating and who wasn't. Yeah, we just kind of wanted to know. We've only ever banned one person from our local community and from ARPVP, and it was one individual who wasn't spoofing, but he did make a fake tournament and made 7 fake accounts and won that tournament and multiple tournaments to boost his rank. And they were real accounts that he had made Sylph cards for, but they were people who weren't going to PvP. And we contacted these people to make sure that these cards were not their cards and they had no idea about them or Sylph or anything like that. So we did take that info. We sent it to Sylph. He's still ranked as far as I know. So I'm not sure if he was deranked and he was able to opt back into that, and maybe it'll be taken away soon. But I'm definitely going to follow up with Mel about that, because if there's anybody who needs to be deranked, it's somebody who is making entire fake tournaments and winning them. Like, that's so shady.
Yeah, we had that in LA too. We had
It's
somebody
crazy.
who was like the first ace of the season in season 1. And they were like, "Oh, this guy's so good. He got destroyed in regionals, and then in season 2, he was the first ace again." And people are like, "Okay, this dude, like, he sucks. How is this dude?"
Right, exactly. That's exactly
ace?
how we felt.
And then so we looked into it, and we're like, "Huh, exactly what you're saying." He had like 24 different battler interactions, and they had like a 1500 metacham, and we were like, 1500 metacham, like, bro, like this guy's battling some legends or something like that. Like, how does this person get? And this is before the best buddy system. We're talking about season 2, so we're looking at all this stuff, and it was just like he made it blatantly obvious that he was cheating and making all these fake accounts with all these like wacky teams, and He always ranked 10 times the right tournament where he went 5-0, and then when he played a real tournament just like once, he went like 1-4, and we were like, yep, this guy, he's just making the fake accounts or whatever like that. And because he wants the ranking, he doesn't care about, like, he'll you can't fake regionals, but he just wants the ranking because he's like, oh cool, like I'm a ace, I'm a challenger, whatever it is. But I do know that they got deranked, and they no longer show up on any leaderboards and stuff like that. So, because you couldn't even contact or get onto that Discord that he was hosting the tournaments. It was just like this like locked community, this like this,
Exactly.
and so we were like, huh, and they got deranked, and we found out, and we were like, dude, like if you just come to us, we'll help you to get better and stuff like that. And um that does exist, and that is one reason why they fake tournaments and do all that stuff. And that was one thing that I brought up, that maybe tournament organizers should be limited on how many tournaments they can organize to kind of prevent that, because he was a tournament organizer. Anyone can be a tournament organizer, and he's organizing 10, 15, 20, 30 tournaments a month to grind up ranking or whatever it may be. Like, maybe maybe we can only do 10 tournaments, so that way if we're gonna fake, we fake only 10 tournaments, and we gotta uh, do the real tournaments the other way or something. I don't know. Like, maybe there's a way to nerf that or something. But they came up with a new system, 6 tournaments, weighted differently, and you can pick and choose. So I think that mitigates some of those problems. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and we have some commentary in chat from Mitch Word that they're new to Sylph. Why can they do that? I mean, ultimately what it is that this is a grassroots organization, and it's sprung up and it's become what it is now after a couple of years of trial and error. And when it started up, they used the infrastructure that was in place, which was primarily Discords around the world. And you know as well as I do that you don't have eyes on the person in the West Philadelphia Discord. If you're living in Minnesota, you don't have any idea what that person's doing. And in order to promote something to grow and have as much opportunity to be spread about as possible, there had to be a fairly low bar, I think, in terms of who was allowed to run tournaments. And they do constantly check to, they investigate any issues like you're talking about where somebody's got the fake tournaments. I don't know the situation with Alyssa's, how much that's been investigated, but they're always illegitimizing tournaments. But it's a blacklist, it's not a whitelist. It's not like you have to apply to run a tournament and then Sylph says, yes, you are blessed, you can run a tournament. It's you invite the bot to your Discord. If you know how to make a Discord, you can do that, and you can host a tournament. And essentially, there's just not a lot of ways for somebody to police that until it is pointed out by somebody, and then it usually becomes pretty transparent and obvious. So there's only so much to be gained from it at this point. But that is why that is, and I think that. That sort of thing, that's a line that I think everybody would acknowledge. It's like the way that people go about that, like, it circumvents the entire purpose of Sylph. It's just like me saying, the things we should worry about are the things that completely circumvent the point of Pokemon Go in the first place. Like, if it's circumventing the point of the game, if it gives you a competitive advantage, if it's obvious that you're trying to do that, I think that we should worry about it. And if something is circumventing the entire reason Sylph exists by compromising their ranking system by just filling it full of phony information, then I think it's obvious that person should be banned. And so it's not a question of whether somebody should be banned or deranked. It's a question of who and when. So I think that is an important data point to say that those kind of people do, I believe, in fact, get banned, unless I'm completely... I can't imagine there's nobody that's been banned in that vein.
No, I don't think anyone's ever been banned from Sylph or their arena. It's always been the
Or
Discord.
servers have
Yeah,
been banned, and then
yes.
their results get illegitimized, if you will.
I don't even know if people do Telegram anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I know that is an option, but I don't know the details of how that works. Yeah. So what?
I was just
Go
talking
ahead.
there. Sorry.
Oh, you
I
were?
was
Go
saying,
ahead.
yeah, I was muted.
Oh,
I
that would be a problem.
yeah, I was saying people still do Telegram, yes, and I don't know all the inner workings of how they do it or what happens, but I just wanted to confirm. Yeah, people still do Telegram in other for like obviously for like remote
Didn't
tourneys.
you say that that's what you use for some of your
For like
Spanish-speaking
Spain, yeah.
countries? Yeah.
Yeah, they use Telegram and yeah, they use Telegram, WhatsApp,
Line,
like I
Slack.
yeah, Line. Oh, I didn't even know that um what is it? Or they I don't think any of them use Kick. I think
I've
Kick
never
is like
even
the
heard
one.
of that one.
Kick is like older, but yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, they still use Telegram.
Yeah, the other thing that I was thinking about was that like people need to be qualified in order to be organizers. Like
Hmm.
anyone can be a tournament organizer, and they don't always know what they're doing.
Hmm.
So I know Soph because I had talked to Soph about this specifically, saying like any idiot can be an organizer, and like that can make a lot of problems for new players who like, oh, so what do I do? And they're like, oh, like you lost, like I don't care about like you can have some really bad organizers. So there's there's a lot of quantity, but there's bad quality, right? So how do you keep good organizers, or turn an organizer who is decent to like a really good organizer, and all these different things I talked about. Like we need to have these like things to make good organizers.
Like
So they're working
training.
on it. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the problem
Training
is
would be
that
so good.
they
Hmm.
need help with people, right? So like if like for me, I have this idea, and so like I can try to help to build and give some guidance and stuff, but it's just me and like one person or two people or three people. That's not enough for a worldwide organization type of thing. So if you guys like, if anyone out there in the audience, YouTube, hi mom, I'm on YouTube. Um, if there's anyone out there that wants to like help these type of things, I think this is a good idea, right? And they want to be like, yeah, I think that's a good thing that we should do. We should have like a judge system.
Hmm.
We should have a organizer system, training programs. Like this person is a top tier organizer, and they get like a badge for it on their Soph card or whatever it is. They get like a
That'd be
little
so cool.
reward or something. Like that would be cool if we could have that, but we need people on the arena to do that. I'm not arena staff, but if you want to, then you're more than happy to go and do those things on the arena staff, become a guide, or become like, maybe you don't have to be a guide, maybe you don't have to be a ranger, maybe you don't have to do those stuff because that's not what you like to do on it. But maybe you can be like, I don't know, maybe they can create a new role where it's just like, yeah, I want to be like like an organizer or something like that. And but just like go to their Discord, pop some stuff in, and like be part of the building and stuff like that, if that's something that you believe in. Other than that, like, if it doesn't work out, then like with me, if they don't create a program and I'm not there to help them, then I shouldn't complain because I'm not helping. So why should I be like make a big fuss about it? It's an idea, I put it out there, and if I want to help, then cool. If I don't and it doesn't get done, well, I didn't do anything to help. I just put the idea out there. So they need people to help run this stuff. So if you want to help to make megas happen more frequently, help them create a robust mega tournament organizer system. Help them make a robust judge system, so that way more people can judge. Um, be they battlers or people who just like, oh, I like to judge people, so let me be a judge. Like perfect. Sign up. Here's the rules. This is how it works. A training system. This is the program. You're a level 1 judge. You can make rulings on whether a game should be replayed or not. You're a level 2 judge. You can make a judge call on like replaying or whatever it is, like or you can look into more litigation stuff, like whatever it is. So that's one thing that they need help on. So sign up there. There's my sponsored recruit. Uncle Sylph wants you to sign up for Sylph.
I think that's an important point, that it's like we always harp on the fact that Sylph is kind of the only game in town in terms of like doing it on a larger scale. and I mean, it's really just a microcosm of life and like just democracy itself. Like if you don't get involved and try and make things the way you want it to be, whether it's creating your own thing or fixing the existing thing, like it's just kind of toxic to sit there and complain about it just because you don't like it.
I will
Yeah.
never complain
Oh.
about Sylph because at its core, Sylph, and I say this like every single episode, Sylph is a bunch of volunteers who are not being paid for the stuff they're doing, who are giving us this amazing thing that we all enjoy the crap out of, and we would not be getting from anywhere else. So we can sit here and criticize Sylph all day long, but if they were just like, fine, you know, you guys don't like us, we're going to stop, what would we do? Play GBL?
Bam. Well said. Yeah. Bam. Be a part of the. It's just like be a part of the change. You know, like if you want there to be change, don't just sit there and say like I want change. No, that doesn't solve anything. Like do something about it. You know, like you can't just say oh like I would have won this game. I should have won this game. Like if this happened, you know, like if this call was made by this person, like be the call. I don't know. Like I don't know. Then it would be like then it goes back to the whole thing of like whether it's fair or not. But I feel like if people are worrying over those small details, they shouldn't even be competing in the first place. They should be judges. They should be like if they're gonna get nitty gritty about things, they shouldn't be competing because if they're gonna complain about things, then just do like try to fix things. You know, don't like complain over these small things. Like I don't know. I feel like this game is so. We don't need to be upset about these things. This is a game. This is Pokemon. We enjoy Pokemon. If we want to see change in the community, be the change. Don't just complain about the change. And then literally everything will fix itself by falling into place. So maybe some things will break here and there, but then that's where the change comes back in. And then we need to realize, oh, maybe this wasn't the best choice. And then we go change it again. But I know that obviously COVID has affected all of our communities, and that includes Sylph, that includes the online remote tourney organization, and all of that. So it's a lot easier said than done. But if we want to actually make a conscious like change, or if we want to like actually make a change, we got to talk to the people that actually run it, be appreciative of the work they do, while also giving constructive criticism of what we think could be implemented. That's all I have to say on that. But yeah, it just goes back to the whole thing of like, we literally run this game. We have all the admin stuff at our fingertips. We're doing all this stuff. Like, the only thing we don't control is like spawns. That's literally all we don't control. Spawns, raids, you know, RNG in the game. But we control the community aspect of the game, which is pretty much the entirety of the game. So be it that is a large chunk. And if we want to see change, we can do something about it. And we should respect people, like every person's voice also. There's that too. So yeah, every person has a voice.
I'm just waiting for Niantic to hire me to make that mistake.
What?
Because like Dope is like the local thing, but if I go straight to the source, right, and I go to Niantic, I'm like, all right, let's fix this game. Like, and they're like, if they're dumb enough to hire me, then it's like, it's just all right. Here we go. We're gonna cause havoc. There's gonna be nothing but
Fix
memes.
this game.
Every Pokemon's gonna have a hat.
I think you're like that guy. You're like when a football team hires a head coach who's really good, but like has their own way of doing things, and everybody knows it's gonna blow up. Like if they hired you, it would just be like a ticking time bomb. Just what everybody'd be taking bets on how long Max would last because he's bound to piss somebody off.
Oh yeah, like we're gonna do if I ever get hired by them, then we're gonna do an over and under board of like, okay, so how long do I last? Who's got the bet on 90 days? Who's got the bet on fire the first day? Like what does Vegas have the odds on?
As long as you convince Niantic to keep releasing Pika hats, I'll be completely happy.
God.
No, I'm gonna call that the Ether protocol. No more hat Pikachus, but every other Pokemon will have a hat.
You know what? Like, if they make it so
Or a
it's like
bow.
really easy to delete these Pikas, which they have over time, which is nice. Like if they had done that from the beginning, I feel like people wouldn't be as upset. Maybe they'd still be upset because it's literally the same Pokemon that's getting costumes.
I'm upset
But
that we're getting it 2 weeks in a row in Spotlight Hour. We'll talk about that if we ever get to
that
that.
is hype. That is so hype.
So and I'm gonna make sure that Bo Smoochum is permanent.
But
Oh,
all
that'd be a lesser
Smoocher moving
Rose
forward
protocol.
have bows and cannot be evolved.
That would be better than the current state of the Smoochums, which is disgusting.
Oh. So I do want to follow up on something that Max said, and personally, my suggestion would be that at this point in time, we've seen some maturing, if you will, of the Sylph community and the perspective as time has gone on. There's obviously been certain things like COVID that have completely changed course, but I mean, there've been things that over time have improved, gotten better, they're iterating, so forth. One of the iterations that I think would be helpful at this point, and I think it would be helpful for a lot of reasons, would be to have some sort of basically if you did some sort of a test or process, you could get some sort of status as a tournament organizer whose tournaments count for more, essentially. Like you could run your local tournament, but until you go through this like certification, if you will, that your tournaments do not weight as much. And I think it would help like legitimate operations build communities, and I think it would discourage people from doing kind of the one-off nonsense. And I think that you want people running tournaments and you want them to count, but I think that there's nothing wrong with having a tiered system, kind of like they were going to have on their own, where it was like Sylph is at the top and we can hold battle towers but nobody else can. I think it's okay to have a second tier where you're just like, you know, if you want your tournament to be like blessed with at least like full weight as opposed to like, you know, 80-90% weight or whatever, like you have to go to Go Stadium and ARPVP, like the places that like do it right and have like, you know, established a track record, and their heads have like said that, you know, we, you know, are going to adhere to these certain rules. Our judges are going to, you know, put effort into this. Like we're not going to just like be like, oh, well, you know, I like Bob, and so I think I'm going to say there's no lag here. Like I think that you could have some sort of a system that was both fair and would move the ball forward at this point. And
well, I think like, oh, sorry.
No, I don't know that there's never a perfect line to draw as far as like exactly how that works. There's always going to be politics involved and people complaining about the decisions that are made. But I think having like a 3-tiered system instead of just a Sylph and everybody else system, I think that would be, helpful.
Well, they could have something where it's like if you're a new organizer, then you can only hold unranked tournaments, like practice tournaments. And then
Right.
once you kind of prove yourself through a probationary period, maybe it's like host 10 successful tournaments. Like they just need to be like 8 people tournaments, like the 4-rounders or whatever, 3-rounders. Hold 10 of them, and like nobody files a report against you. Guess what? Now you can hold ranked tournaments. And then, like you said, if you want to be a huge tournament organizer, more of like the like what we know as like Go Stadium, AR, and all those other ones, then you can have something more of like you're a different type of like tournament organizer. We can host multiple tournaments at a time instead of hosting like just one tournament at a time. Maybe you can host 2, 3, 4 different tournaments at a time, and then, you know, so having ultimate power to be just like, all right, we're holding a battle tower, and then also subsequently those other ones like the right below Sylph organizations can host megas, and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but like that's something that I think
Right.
is possible.
And Matt Shadow speaking out saying it sounds terrible and it would create a community of people thinking that some are better than others. Like that's really not what I'm trying to get at. I'm saying it's kind of like, you know, it'd be like essentially like a casino getting a license or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a verification.
Right, where you're showing I have this many judges. These judges can pass this test saying they understand like what this looks like when it's lag, when what this looks like when it's not. I have, no complaints against me. I have whatever. Like you could put some sort of standard in place where you're just like, these people are like, verified, kind of like a check mark on Twitter or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that like those people are better, but like it filters out just the easy ability to create phony tournaments, to create tournaments that are heavily biased and whatever. And you would just be able to, I don't know, like it's not a question of who's better. It's a question of if people are willing to uphold certain standards, their results should mean more, because it'd be like going to a golf tournament and saying like, the people who don't pay any attention when somebody like takes a mulligan and throws their ball in a totally different place should be held on the same level as like a PGA tournament or something. It's like one has rules and the other one doesn't, and it's just like, I don't know. I think that there's too many cases where there's just everything is on par.
I think it's very much like, another example would be like, I mean, you don't just become a lifeguard. And I've actually I've gone through lifeguard certification, and it lasts for a certain period. So it's like, it's not like people don't think higher of lifeguards. I mean, they're just people doing a job to make sure everyone's safe and everyone's having fun and playing safely. So like, I think that having
They're on for
verification,
consistency.
right, having a verification system, it isn't like, oh, like I'm verified. Like, no, that's not what this is. It's like you're able to make sure that I'm having a fun time and make sure that other people are also enjoying the game, and we're all having a good experience in a controlled environment. That's what it is. We're verifying that these tournaments are legitimate and that everyone's having fun and we're following the rules and we're having a good time. It's not that, and I'm sure Matt's now like going back at his comment, like, I didn't mean it like that. And I totally get that. Like, I understand. But what we're trying to say is like, it's more of like making sure that the the people themselves are holistic in the sense that they can look at a match and be able to say like, oh, this is a dispute and this is what went wrong here, and oh, like, we have some people that are causing issues at this tournament over here. We need to do something about that. Or like, oh, this tournament isn't legitimate. Like, like, it's just like, it's an added step to make sure that the actual organizers, the people that we appreciate holding these tournaments for us, are actually doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. That's all it is. So, and
You're
it
gonna have.
shouldn't. Yep.
I was just, you're gonna have snobs and pricks anyways.
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna be
And
yeah.
this is the idea. This
What-
this is just the conception, and we can always like go back and forth and refine it. But the
Right.
idea would be that if you're gonna organize, you also need to have a judge.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a judge, then why are you organizing? Like, anyone can make a tournament and be like, "Oh, I have leg. I don't know. You guys figure it out." Well, that's a very poor organization.
Yeah, the intention is obviously in the good, in the sense that like we're trying to get like-minded individuals that share the same values to host these tournaments and be good judges for us and put on a good show for us, and like have us all running in a very clock-like manner so everything goes smoothly. But obviously, with this check mark, badge, whatever system that they employ, or like whatever they decide to do with this verification process, so we know people are legitimate, um, it's obviously going to come with like, a whole like egotistical thing or like elitist thing where it's like, oh, I'm now better than someone because I have an extra verification. Well, that's not the intention. The intention is actually to prove that you're legitimate in doing this thing. But, if you want to create a whole ecosystem around this, like, okay, but that's not what the intention is. So, I mean, people are free to do what they want with things, whether you like it or not. They might break something. So that's just how it goes. So
Because like,
yeah.
if I wanted to be a TO snob, I can say that I'm the best TO in all of North America. Because like I've
Right.
held the largest IRL tournament to date, right? Like there's been
Right.
bigger, more successful remote tourneys, I think. But like I've held the largest in-person one. So like clearly I'm the best TO. No, absolutely not. Like that's not.
It's personal.
If somebody has that mindset as being a TO, they're not going to last long in the TO field, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't
Um,
be a TO. Maybe it was like they're like the person that verified in the first place. Maybe you just get verified by a person that says like verified by, I don't know, someone that's actually reputable in the community. But if maybe that person that actually verified them are like, oh, that's interesting. They're actually like not acting properly, and then they get reported, and then it's like a whole thing. So obviously there's going to be cultures created. I don't think there's like really like in golfing or with lifeguarding, there was never really like me personally, there's never really like a time where like one like at least the swimmers that we were lifeguarding for were ever like, oh man, these lifeguards, like I hold them to such a high standard. Like, no, we're just people making sure you're not gonna drown. Like if you're gonna drown, we're gonna be there for you, but like we're just people. Like I'm not your mom, I'm not your dad, like we're just people. So like it's
Science
you
is
know
the best Apple/people confirmed. Mel mentions in chat that Magic the Gathering tourney, you say you have to have certified judges. I think it's the same thing with TCG tournaments. There are different tiers of tournaments. There are tournaments that are just held at your local shop, and they essentially are held to no standards. And then there's some that I think get like actual like play Pokemon certification, and they get like different perks, different prizes, whatever. And I'm not saying there's a direct straight line correlation, but I mean there's already like the kind of the standard in the Pokemon community that it's just like, you often have like I know a lot of people are Pokemon professors and that kind of thing. Like it's more of just a community thing. You're willing to put in the time, you're willing to invest in the community, you're trying to make it better for everybody, and the things that you do have more weight. It doesn't mean that you're a better person, it just means that you're trying to like set the standards in your community to try and make something better, because ultimately you have to have judges in all these things. And I don't know, I think that's an important element. I know that I could not do in the small tournaments I do without the help of judges and TOs and such, and I can't even imagine people who do like larger, higher stakes stuff and whatever, and dealing without having some competently trained folks.
Yeah. It's definitely hectic for sure. I feel like I mean Max can speak to that, but
10 out of 10 do not recommend anybody being a TO.
Nice.
It's a thankless job.
Yeah, let's finish our combo with that, I guess.
Well, like, I mean, if you think about it, why would you want to do a tournament? Why would you want to do it for the community, right? Okay, well then they're gonna say how you're a terrible organizer for having these stupid judge calls, and like I don't even have anywhere to go to the bathroom. Is there anything to eat? How come you don't have things here to eat? What are the prizes? I don't want that prize. Where are the badges? These pins? Oh, these are crap. Like I want the real enamel pins. Like if you like those type of conversations, then sign up immediately to be a TO. Oh, by the way, isn't that be a money dump? $50 a month, and you're not gonna make any money back. Like you might make $5 back, and it's gonna be from your spouse or from your best friend who's be like, "I believe in you." I'm like, thanks, friend. You're the only person that believes in me.
100% a money dump at our local tournaments. I feed everyone. We buy prizes. I buy the enamel pins. I make a really nice acrylic trophy, just like the ones I make for bots. But people in our community are so great at being like, hey, here's $5. Put this towards whatever you're doing for the next tournament. And there's multiple people like that. I don't know if we're just friendlier in the South. Maybe y'all in California need to like get some nicer people.
We really do.
Whoa,
no, I'm kidding.
Whoa. All
Everyone
right,
down here
we're
is
building
just so
bridges.
friendly.
We're not burning them, Melissa. All
I'm
right,
kidding.
we're not going to take all of our California contingent.
I feel like I
set 'em
can
on
say this
fire.
as a reformed New Yorker. Like when I lived in New York, we just were not inherently friendly. Like I would go into the bagel store, and if I asked the girl how her weekend was, she would look at me like I had 9 heads. Like there is no chance that girl wanted to tell me how her freaking weekend was. But down here, like in Arkansas, that cashier is offended if you don't ask what she did on the 4th of July. Like you're expected to have a full-on conversation with these people. And I just feel like that's reflected in our community. Like everyone is so willing to pitch in and they're so appreciative of what we're doing for them. And I'm so grateful for that. My online community, so I just took over ARPVP as like the lead admin or whatever.
Violent
and we're
coup
just starting
confirmed.
to do what?
Violent coup confirmed.
No, it wasn't violent. But we are doing prizes now, which is really exciting because the only kind of prizing we had ever done was the trophies for bots, which I'm still doing. But now for our local lobby, we're going to be doing the enamel pins, which I'm buying anyway because I buy those for our local community. And I've always got extras. So it just seemed like it made sense to go ahead and mail that out to whoever won. So that's a positive change. And I'm hoping that offering that, $5 worth of prizing really incentivizes people to get a little bit more active and participate a little bit more. I don't think prizes matter to everybody, but I think it's just a nice way that organizers can give back to the community. And if there's anything I can say to anybody who's not an organizer here, if you're just a battler in the community, just be nice to your TOs. Like they're working really hard for you. We're not here to like be assholes. Just don't be mean when we make judgment calls on your rematches or whatever. Like it's not personal. Just be nice.
I mean, like at LA, like I got crap for it, and people like 90% of the people say like it was a great tournament, it was the best tournament. Oh, I wish it would have gone well. Like 90% of it is positivity, but you still get like the 10% that like, dude, like it started so late, or like when Soph crashed. Oh my God, when Soph crashed like round 3.
I loved it. I
The amount
absolutely love the tournament.
The
I'm
amount
sorry.
of crap that like unanimous crap that like we got, my whole team got. I was like, oh, it's gonna be another failure like Sylph's Chicago tournament. We're all gonna be on the streets. Oh God, I'm probably gonna have to leave early. Like, man, this is gonna suck. Who organized this? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're a bunch of idiots or whatever. Like for 45 minutes straight, my team got that kind of like abuse and harassment, and then we got back on track. We finished the tournament, best tournament ever type of vibes at the end of the day, right? At the end of the
Yeah. Heck
What a
yeah.
roller coaster.
It
was kind
really
of
is a
like-
roller
and
coaster.
it's like and that's what happened, and people are like, it's not, but yeah, if you can't deal with that, like maybe be a support to your TO and be like, come here when you're ready to cry, like I'll hold you, be their security blanket. But yeah, it's definitely a huge thing. Or when I have prizes for my tournaments, like during Jungle Cup, I was like, oh, I'll bring Rock City Girl. Big shout out to Rock City Girl. She was hosting in La Mirada. And so I went there. I'm like, okay, I'll bring the prizes, and you just bring like you just organize this other stuff, but I will bring prizes. And she's like, okay. So I went to Target. I bought the Jumanji board game as the first prize. I was like, now you get to go play Jumanji, and they're kind of like, oh, thanks, whatever. I was like, I thought this was a great, you ungrateful
That's so
son of a.
cool.
I'm taking this game away from you then. Like, screw you. But I also got a Ludicolo plush, and I was like, all right. So which one do you want, the Jumanji game or the Ludicolo plush for like first prize? You get, first place you get, pick. Or like, I guess I'll take the Ludicolo. Like, I don't, whatever. And then I was like, you ungrateful. Like, and second place got the Jumanji. Like, I was like, I'm never getting gifts for you bastards again. Like, for Halloween Cup, I got like 5 scary movies, and I had 5 different tournaments. So like, all right, which one do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Beetlejuice? Here you go. Do you want Nightmare on Elm Street? Here you go. And I made sure that was only around adults, because God forbid a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old win that game and I give them an R-rated movie. Like, nope.
Oh my gosh.
So like I try to keep the prizes cool and fun, and like literally no one cared. They were just like, this was ranked, right? Like, yeah. All right, cool, later. And I was just like, what? So if you love that,
Well, okay, so
TOing is for you.
So I think you meant Sinister for instead of Halloween,
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah.
Sinister Cup.
Yeah. So for Sinister, usually what my fellow TOs do for UCR, we all pitch in for pizza, like multiple pizzas, because we compete at a like kind of a bar. It's like a bar pretty much. But we buy all these pizzas, and on Sinister, it was like nearing Halloween, so I was like, hey, why not? I went to Ralph's, bought a whole bunch of candy, like just like buckets full of candy, and just plopped it on the on like the main table we had at our tournament, and I like decorated it, made it look all nice,
Aw.
and like the people came and they enjoyed the candy, and then they came and thanked me. But then like some people were like, "Oh, you didn't have this candy," and I was like, "What?"
You just tell them next time we'll just have no candy.
Well,
That's
next time
fine.
it's not Halloween, so
That's true.
go buy your own candy.
Oh.
No, but like seriously, like I mean, I did get a lot of like thanks for it, but it's very much a thankless job.
Mhm.
So it's all volunteer,
Yep.
and if you want to make it, goes back to the whole conversation. If you want to make the community better, it's up to you. Like I've really tried to make UCR like a really great community for Pokemon Go. Obviously with COVID it's affected that, and we can all tell like with our own communities how much COVID has affected it. But like before, oh, someone said in the chat, or someone said it like in this voice call, like I remember for raid days, like Wednesdays, and like really when there were any raids on the UCR campus and there were multiple, oh man, that was like my favorite time. Like I would get out of class, we would go to the raid, and then I'd be like, okay guys, let's raid train to the next one. And then we all walk to the next raid. We just go, like in a little like huddle. And people would be like, what are these people doing? There's so many of them. Why are they all walking around in the same directions? Like what are they doing? And we're just like laugh at them, like they don't know we're catching Pokemon. but like but like yeah, it's just like it's such a it was such a fun time. And now there's none of that. So it's like now it's just me walking to a raid with someone else I like have played with pretty much from the beginning. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but I wish we had the whole community behind us. You know, I've missed seeing every single person that I used to see, and I thought that the candy thing was super cool, and like we can't have that for remote tourneys because we just sit with like a tub of ice cream eating that, hoping that we don't mess up, and then when we do mess up, we clench that tub of ice cream even closer to us because
What's happening? What is happening
huh?
in the stream?
Nothing's happening.
Clutching
It's
ice
just
cream.
That was me at regionals, but it was like pizza and like salami and cheese and White Claws, and
oh,
just
I'm
like
so
sitting
sorry.
with my friend at my table, like laughing hysterically, but also crying because I was 2-4 and it couldn't get any worse. Like,
Yeah, I bet like
so bad.
by the end of it you were just like, yeah, why not? You
Yeah,
were
I
just
was
like,
just like, at this point, I was like, let's just pound a White Claw. It's fine. Everything is fine. Everything's on fire, but it's fine. It was
yeah,
just
exactly.
like it was such a wreck.
Yeah,
It was
why
so
not?
bad.
Let's try this.
Man, I
Yeah.
feel like if we allow this conversation to go any longer, it's going to turn into a full blown therapy session. And
Yeah, definitely.
and
No,
considering how late it is, maybe we should.
wait, have we gotten to the news yet?
No, we have
No.
not.
Oh God.
We
That's
have
right, we
not,
didn't
and I
get
think
that.
we're gonna have to be rather limited in what we actually talk about. I mean, I'll be up all night. I don't care, but I don't think
Yeah,
we
we
need
should
to
be
hit
swift.
everything.
Yeah.
But and there I go once again, covering up my freaking Chrome. Okay, no, don't mind me. Thank you all for talking about that. I think the bottom line is we are trying to build a community, and there are benefits to building a community that is one that we actually want to be around. And it's not a question of like being whatever, playing favorites and all that. It's like you can shape the community you want by giving it the standards that you want and by being a part of it. So I think that those are definitely the two things, or the big things to take away from this. And like, if you're already part of it, thank you. And thank you, Mel. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, everybody, for giving us nice things. I have so much fun with all the things that you guys give us. I didn't take part in Mega LA Max. I wish I could have, but I've definitely taken part in Battle of the Servers, and I personally find that kind of stuff just so fulfilling. So thank you to everybody who puts in the hard work to make those things happen. Let us move on to Niantic news. We have a date for Go Battle Night and Flying Cup. The biggest weirdness about it is the fact that it's not even going to be this season, and now it would appear, based on the data mines, that we are going to likely be living in a Shadow Skarmory, Shadow Aerodactyl world. What do you guys think about this development?
I like the new date. It's for my birthday. My birthday is November 6th.
All right.
Yeah, so I feel like we're really, I'm gonna bring in my birthday battling until midnight.
That could be. Oh, I was gonna say that could be either a really good birthday or a really bad birthday.
I'd probably rather be out with friends or my husband or anything but sitting at home, like agonizing over a Shadow Aerodactyl. But whatever. Like we're just gonna grab this bull by the horns, and I'm gonna really try to find a Shadow Aerodactyl because that sounds like so much fun.
Birthday.
Check in next week.
Up, and you're gonna all right, let's get ready to do this. You're gonna do some Flying Cup or whatever it is, and then you're gonna be like, insta regret, mimosas, White Claws, dinners, eating, partying, and then drunk battles to wrap up the night. And you're like,
that sounds great.
Birthday ever.
Yeah, that's like my ideal. So my ideal birthday is like hibachi, getting super wasted with my friends, and then plenty of Sylph battles I won't remember. That'd be great. Or GBL. I can do GBL. GBL is fine too.
All right, I will say here and now, I'm not intending to stream the night, but if you guys will do it with me, I will stream. We can stream Bellsprouts Flying Cup / Go Battle Night. I'm willing to go all 100 deep if you guys are in it with me.
Wait,
man.
Ethan?
Huh?
Are you willing to partake in one drink of an alcohol beverage with us?
He is not 21.
I am 21.
He is 21.
Yeah. What? I thought
he was 21 right when COVID started.
You guys are going to have to do the drinking for us. There won't be any
20.
jiggly drinking. Only me.
No, I'm 21.
Oh.
Yeah, I was supposed to go take him to
I don't
strip
drink
club.
though.
Like ever?
Yeah, I actually my mom was offering me wine. She offers me wine every once in a while, and I'm just like, yep.
It's really
okay.
good bloodstream though.
Yeah, I've heard. I know there's different types of wine, and I'm sure people in chat are like, "You haven't had an alcoholic beverage?" No, I have not. So,
give me a virtual high five through the screen, Ethan. Team, no alcohol.
That's okay. It's okay.
My heart.
Alyssa, you and I are gonna get wasted that night.
Yes.
Right. I'm
great.
perfectly okay with you two
all
being trashed and Ethan and I sitting here doing our battles, and we'll see whether the alcohol will make your results better, worse. Yeah.
I think
honestly, I'll probably do worse.
No, I think I'm better after a couple, one drink to take the nerves off. But if we're talking about 3 drinks, then we're gonna start getting a little dicey. But just one to take the nerves off, we're good.
Right. What I'm saying is I probably do worse than you guys, even when you're drunk. So it's.
Oh well, yeah. If you don't drink, then
we could do it. We could keep tally. We could have team sober versus team wasted, and we could.
Nice. I like that.
And we could see who can come out with the most. If Alyssa and I
aren't crying at the end of the night, we're like, "I love you, Alyssa. I love you, man." Then the night was a failure. Other than that's the only way that the night could be a success.
All right, you heard it. You heard it right here on stream, guys. It's in their fate. It's in their hands if they want to do this or not. I will do it if they do it, but otherwise, I'm not doing it. All right. Oh yes, Well, I don't know if you can. We'll see, Luke. You can file a petition. You can. Don't slide in my DMs. We'll make a special channel on the Discord for you.
We can get 3-on-3, but yeah, we could find someone else for team, whatever team. I don't want to say team wasted, but team. Yeah.
Kaiser.
There you go. Team,
oh no.
Oh gosh. No. That stream's gonna go down south. Anyways, back to the news.
And speaking of things that we can take bets on, what are our bets that it actually goes off as scheduled without a hitch? Do we think November 5th, 6 p.m. it's going to actually occur, or do we think it's going to be a fail again?
For
What
us
day of the week
Americans, yes.
is it the 5th?
What's that?
What day of the week is the 5th? I have to look.
Let me see.
Oh, it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
I've got nothing going on Thursdays. I'm down to get drunk and do 100 battles.
Max is like, no, it's going to come down to me. They're going to make me do it. But I
love
think...
how I'm the worst oddish of like I'm the worst influence on this stream, but that night I'm gonna be like a freaking saint, and we're like, no, Alyssa's sober, please stop, stop it, and she's gonna be like, we're gonna switch roles. She's gonna be the bad apple that one day.
Oh goodness.
I feel like this is now a thing. But let's hope that we can plan around it, because last time around it was something a lot of streamers planned around. It was a fail. A lot of people built their teams. Now people have Aerodactyls they'll likely never use. I personally already had an Aerodactyl, so it doesn't matter to me. But how does it affect your willingness to invest in these crazy shadows? The fact that they have such a horrible track record, and there's probably no other application for a shadow Aerodactyl.
I mean, I didn't second move the Aerodactyl that I had powered up. It was one that I already had. It was almost right at 1500. And I was like, I'll second move it, but like not until right before. And thank God like that I did not do that, because I would have been pretty salty.
In this case, though, if you wanted to practice at all, you'd probably have to second move it and just pray that they give us a day that they'll actually be TMable, which is also in the data mine, I believe, that we're supposed to get another... Well, we're supposed to get another shadow special research of some sort. Do you guys think that this weird, strange eggs event that was data mined, where the eggs, it says they hatch poison or dark types according to the data mine and go in with your normal eggs requiring a slot, and that there's apparently a shadow Mewtwo at the end of this, so you may not be quite in the range of having huge bragging rights anymore, Ethan, if other people are able to get Mewtwo's on your level? But do you think that that's going to be accompanied by another opportunity to TM away, or do you think that we're going to be sitting in frustration land despite that?
It could be another opportunity to TM return or TM frustration. I think it would be beneficial if they did that, because there's a lot of people that have Pokemon now that are, I mean, it's about that time. So that's what I'm trying to say. So I feel like if they flip the switch on that, that would be very, very fortuitous of them to seize the opportunity. But if they don't, I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit upset, a little bit, me included, because I have some things, that I would like to TM.
Yeah, some things.
Yeah, some things.
So the full list of data mined new shadows are, let's see, we've got Shadow... Sorry, Twitter is being funny. Shadow Slowpoke, Shadow Aerodactyl, Shadow Hoppip, Shadow Teddy Ursa, Skarmory, Kabuto, and Apom. Which of those outside of the Flying Cup monsters of Aerodactyl and Skarmory are you guys interested in?
And Jumpluff.
Jumpluff for sure.
Hands down. Do we think Jumpluff is going to be a beast for Flying Cup, or do we think it's just going to be a beast in general, the shadow version of it?
Just in general. I think it's going to be like the new grass hole. Like when I was trying out the grass Bastiodon line, Tropius was my go-to, but I think now it would probably be Shadow Jumpluff. So keeping eyes on that. Still not ashamed.
Is Shadow Jumpluff going to eliminate all of the conversations we had about spoofing to get Tropius? It's going to be so good that like they won't even need to ban Tropius anymore. No.
I think Tropius is still really good.
I think Tropius just gets balanced out in cups better now because of the things that are more available. I don't think it's a matter of like Tropius is bad now. It's just a matter of like other things have come along.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Which of these do you think is the most memeable new shadow, Max?
Apom.
Apom. You're gonna run a Shadow Ambipom with Astonish and what other moves does it have? It has some really bad moves.
I'm probably gonna run it with let me see. I think it's like Feint Attack or something like that. I don't know. I'll just run it just because I can.
I mean, it's like the serum Apom from Detective Pikachu. That's what those are like, basically.
Oh god, those things were frightening. I forgot about those.
The serum Apom.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
What
So-
was the
Just
other
keep-
ones that they have? It was Apom, and then what was the other bat stuff?
Let me see.
Kabuto, Slowpoke. Oh, you're talking about in the movie?
No.
Oh, no,
Slowpoke,
the other
Slowpoke
options.
is Slowpoke is
Slowpoke.
decent.
Slowpoke is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I don't think that's like gonna be a complete meme.
Kabuto is kind of
Kabuto-
Kabutop's shadow would be a meme, that's for sure.
No. Hundo Shadow Kabuto. Would be a
Right.
meme.
Oh, that's respectable. Yeah.
Because like people were actually running that at one point, and it's
Yeah, that's respectable.
it's actually a thing. So
All right,
Yeah.
and since we're getting 7 new Pokemon thrown in, 7 new shadows in the data, if we presume that those 7 come out, are 3 of those going to be team leader things? Is like Skarmory going to be Cliff and Aerodactyl's a Sierra, and I don't know which one of the others would fall in the category of something strong, but do we think that that's going to be the case, or are they all going to be grunts? I don't think we've seen a steel type.
oh wow.
Oh well, yeah, Mawile for a boss. I'm saying for a grunt. I don't
For like a normal. Yeah.
I mean, they could obviously use the flying moniker, but I'm trying to think of.
They could. I feel like it would probably. Was it
I feel like
Arlo
there
that
is.
was Mawile? Who was Mawile? Was it?
Yeah,
It was
Arlo.
Arlo. Yeah, so it probably will be Arlo again for Skarmory, I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
but
all
I mean
speculation.
that would control the amount of grind that one would have to do to get those. One of the things that's really weird that I've thought about when thinking about all of these weird spoofing and shadow and whatever conversations is that ultimately one of the things that Rocket shadow Pokemon actually do is kind of bring the grind back to the game. It's not necessarily in the best way, but some of these things that are supposedly so good are gated behind like the need to actually grind them. You can't just go plus them. You can't do other things. It doesn't mean that it completely eliminates the conversation, but bless you if you think you can grind a shadow. I mean, you can't grind a shadow Lapras or that sort of thing. Like you can get more of them, but you can grind them, but you can't just get it by cheating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that one is you have to put some work into it.
yeah. So those will be interesting. I like the fact that they keep introducing new ones. The dynamic itself with shadows is always going to be controversial, but as long as it exists, like I think they need to keep coming out with new ones, and I love every time we get a new batch of them. Let's see, what else is important? Supposedly Draining Kiss no longer Elite TMable, not really PvP relevant. I don't know if they're going to fix that anyway. We're going to get Mega, Slowbro, and Aerodactyl. Those presumably won't be usable in GBL or in Sylph, so at the moment those are kind of irrelevant. Kind of fun. I like Mega Slowbro. It really is it's out of control, wild looking, where like the shell takes over its whole body, but I don't think that those are going to be PvP relevant.
It's one of my favorite too. Yeah.
And Galarian Slowpoke and Slowbro one day, those are gonna look cool, especially if that Galarian Slowbro gets Shadow. It's gonna look amazing.
Oh man, it's gonna be seriously dark.
Yeah.
All right, and so we already have talked about Charmander Community Day in terms of its announcement. It will be on Saturday, which will happen between now and the next episode. Definitely is one of those things where everything we understand still seems to be true, which is that you're going to get Dragon Breath, you're not going to get Blast Burn, there's not going to be any magic way to make it happen without Elite TMs at the moment. Anything is always possible with Niantic, so be on the alert. Maybe our Australian buddies will get the benefit this time of something going wrong in the first minutes, and they'll all have Shadow Claw, Blast Burn Charizards or something like that. I said
Only to
Shadow
be
Claw again,
stolen.
but Dragon Breath. We'll get the triple dust. Anybody have any? Max is, I think, one of the people that usually will say, like, grab these tasks and whatever to maximize dust. Are you going to do that for the triple dust? Are you going to pick up certain tasks that are out right now to add to your dust pile and stack it up? Or are you just
No,
gonna
there's
grind?
nothing out there really other than like just trying to find like the ones that give you the evolved Pokemon. Other than that, there's nothing really that's worth your time because like you can't control when you get an Audino and stuff like that. So those are the biggest money makers right there. So other than that, there's nothing really.
Yeah. All I know is triple dust is always a big deal, and we will all be grinding and poke and pull. We're gonna find a day for a poke and pull this week for Charmander. If a show like that is gonna exist, it has to put out the content for community days, in my opinion. So we're gonna make it happen. Stay tuned for when. Let's see. Oh man, Alyssa, you've got a personal note on Charmander that you're not gonna be able to grind as much as you want.
Yeah, I am super bummed. I have to deliver a wedding cake like right in the middle of community day, which is going to just completely derail my entire community day. Priorities, I guess. Real life work is more important. Kind of. I'm bummed, especially because it's triple dust. Like, I really, really want to do that. And it's to like a rural area that I'm delivering to, so I couldn't even do like a gacha or a Go Plus or anything like that because I'm sure nothing is going to spawn out there. So that's a bummer.
I mean, we were
Well,
having.
but you could do the incense. Oh no, but they nerfed the incense. Never mind.
Right. Right on time. Maybe I can like work it out with the bride where I can deliver her cake like super early for completely selfish reasons. I don't know. I'll see what I can do.
because if there's one thing you want to do, it's go to a woman on her wedding day and say, okay, I know that your wedding is this time, but there's something going on with Pokemon, and it would be so much better for me if I'm able to do this. Yeah, right. Good luck with that.
Well, I wouldn't tell her why.
No. So this is what you do. You charge her a premium because now you're gonna have to use an elite TM that you're gonna get from that community box to get the moves appropriately. So charge her an extra like elite TM premium. That's what you do.
I can't do that. I'm gonna have to deliver it whenever I need to, especially because I'm sure it's an outdoor wedding. So
it's just another $20, lady, for a wedding cake. That's it.
No, she paid for this like months ago. I can't ask for more money now.
Oh, man.
It's just I wanted to this. They couldn't have put it on Sunday. Like it had to be Saturday.
What you could do is put a little Charmander on the cake.
Oh yeah, she'd love that.
Yeah, just be like, this is what you're making me miss out on.
No, you put two Charmanders. You put two Charmanders, their tails intertwined into a heart. And be like, yeah, and like eternal love, the fires of love, the flames of some crap that you will have to come up with, lady, because I'm missing out on these Pokemon.
I'll just redo the whole groom's cake instead of like the duck hunting theme she has booked. I can just go straight ahead and make it a Charmander cake. He won't mind.
You could have Charmander, the sad Charmander in the rain with its tail being extinguished, and just have it reflect your true emo mood from missing out on all.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I see a question in chat about, do I not own a gacha or a Go Plus? I do, but that doesn't really matter when you live in rural Arkansas where there are literally no spawns. So unless I'm in an urban environment and I drive like 30 miles out of my way to go to Little Rock, the gacha is not going to do a damn thing for me. It's definitely not going to do a damn thing for me on a farm 30 miles out of the city. So,
now we know.
How much do you love me? Can you deliver this cake for me? Can I trust you? Or like, can you play for my account? How much do you love me, husband?
No, I can't. I couldn't. He would never offer to deliver a wedding cake for me. Not a stacked cake. Absolutely not. That's like the worst anxiety is traveling with like a 4-tier cake on a dirt road. There is nothing more nerve-wracking than that. So I couldn't ask anybody to do that.
Oh man, yeah, that's rough. But so have you had the experience of being in a rural area since they One, changed the spawn points generally, and two, obviously we've had a lot of remote community days. Have you experienced what it's like? I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that it is better to play in certain areas than others, but are these places you're
Yeah.
talking about like confirmed terrible now, or confirmed terrible like months or years ago? Because it does seem a little different to me, and I'm expecting community day to be very much of the like spotlight hour variety, where you just have like crazy clusters of stuff, even absent the incense.
Yeah, so if I go to Little Rock, community days are great, which is what I typically do. I almost always do my community days in Little Rock because the spawn points are dense, so the gyms and stops are super dense. I can restock on balls while I'm playing. If I did community day in my hometown, it would be really boring, really slow. Typically, the amount of shinies I get in Little Rock compared to someone playing in my hometown, I'd probably get about double to triple playing in an urban environment. So it's definitely nerfed. But playing where I would need to deliver this cake would be like slim to none because I'm going even deeper out into the country on this girl's farm that her family owns. It's like a ranch. There's going to be nothing out there at all. There's probably not even cell service out there, if we're going to be honest. So that wouldn't work at all.
That is rough. That is rough. And thank you for the follow. Is the Nuts 93? Is that the Nut 93?
The Nut.
Yeah, the
he
Nut
just he had
93.
to put an S in. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you coming in. Welcome in. Glad to have you be part of the community, and welcome to the Twitch streaming world. Man, that is rough, Alyssa. That is rough. I'm not gonna lie. Do you at least have some good stuff set aside to evolve on that day?
Not really. So I'm going to see what I can do about before and after.
Man.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough day.
It is really rough. Dang, Alyssa.
I feel like we started with a controversial topic, and still this part might be the most emotional part of the show. With regard to what I talked about before with the strange eggs, how do you guys feel about the possible dynamic that we have yet another sort of weirdness with eggs to manage, and keeping your inventory open, and how that's all going to come together? If that's how that plays out, are you guys okay with there being weird eggs that are going to be a challenge to get in your inventory, or do you think they'll have to do something else to kind of mitigate that problem?
No.
I'm just... Go ahead, Max.
No, it's just I just try to do the C-Day stuff, their like this Meowth event, any stuff that they're doing now. I just do it on my leisure. I'm not taking the game seriously, and my dust is hurting. I'm at like 5 dust. So like doing these C-Day, these hatching eggs to get some dust, or trying to get some exclusive stuff, like I'll just continue to use janky things the best that I can with whatever resources I can. I just don't. I'm a non-participant now.
But I mean, if they are going to do this, where they have you hatch these strange eggs, which may or may not be shadow eggs. Oh boy. If they're going to do that, do you think that likely foretells that they're going to change something with the egg system, where it's going to be like partitioned into its own spot, or there are going to be less egg drops from stops or from gifts? Or do you think that we're still going to have the same system, and we're going to have to really magically figure out how to have a spot open when we could get these shadow eggs?
Yeah, I think that's what it's gonna be.
Ugh.
Because as it stands already, you want to do a smooch 'em, right? That would be one of the collector.
Speak for yourself.
She hates
You
it.
want to do a smoochum? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, it evolves into a jinx. Jinx is fine. Anyways, so if you wanted to get a smoochum, because that's like the task and that's exclusive, and then on top of that you wanted to get a shiny, then you would need to like make space for these eggs and hatch everything beforehand. And what did they do right before this event that they got everybody hyped up for Fashion Week and everything? They nerfed the hatch, the egg distance, right? So you couldn't prepare accordingly for this egg event. If you were like, oh, well, if I spin stops or whatever and I open gifts, like I'll just get rid of all of this batch of eggs, and on the day of, I just won't spin or whatever. I'll make sure I plan accordingly, and I'll just like try to walk or whatever beforehand. So they nerfed it, and you couldn't really properly prepare. You had to work harder to prepare. So that was kind of like a poor form on them. So then in order to do these smoochums, they had to make it part of the event where you could hatch like what half a distance or quarter distance, whatever it was. So there's always like this tension within an event whenever they design an event for some reason. We saw this recently with the Meowth event with the berries. We can't go to gym, so why would you keep a berry or so many berries? Delete go down to 20 or 10, and then you didn't have enough berries to participate in these events, so you're kind of like, damn it. So there's probably going to be another one of these to just kind of follow the same kind of pattern. They're going to have it where they have these poison eggs. You have to get them only from spinning rocket stops. Well, I can't go to a rocket stop, so I can't get these. You have to wait for the rocket balloons. They come ever so infrequently. Then maybe two of them come at the same time. I have to hurry up and hatch one. It's going to be kind of a mess, and it's not going to be perfect, but there are going to be the people that are like, oh, I had a great time about it. So I foresee that kind of thing happening, and it's going to be kind of a disaster. It's going to be kind of an apple fritter. And I call it an apple fritter because an apple fritter is a clusterfuck of apples and fritters. So it's going to be something like that.
I will say that just contrary to what experience you're describing, I had the opposite experience where I was literally throwing away berries constantly, and I never throw away berries because the damn event was giving me like these big old bundles of berries that I didn't need, and I was just like, "Oh, go away, berries."
I'm just a mess at managing storage in the first place, so yeah. I have like way too many healing potions. I don't understand why I keep so many, but I have issues with managing things, and I think I have like over 300 maxes or 200 hypers or something. Like I need to clear. That's bad. But yeah, I just have issues clearing. I don't know why. Yeah. That's my story. So I'm gonna have even a rougher time doing all this anyways. I never hatch eggs either, so it's like I'm just gonna have like maybe one shadow egg and I'll see what I get, you know? Maybe if I even decide to hatch it, because if that's dependent on whether I even bring my phone around with me while I walk around the house. So yeah. Yeah.
Crocs and socks.
I don't. Yeah, that's like really the only time I'm hatching eggs when I'm at UCR. So, yeah, that's like really the only time. We'll
Hey,
see what I
Boomer.
get. Huh?
Boomer's in the chat.
Oh, Boomer. Oh,
No.
oh, hey, Boomer. Whoa,
Welcome,
yo,
thanks.
what's
He's a
up?
local to us.
Thanks,
Oh,
welcome.
yeah, I know Boomer. Boomer, what's up?
And you're not talking about Victor and I, apparently.
No, you're the Boomer.
I was confused
Hey,
because I was like,
Boomer.
you're saying Boomer to me? I'm like, I'm the antithesis of a Boomer. I'm like a Zoomer. So, yeah.
Is that what they
Don't-
call you kids now?
Yeah, we're Zoomers.
Because they're growing up being educated on Zoom.
Exactly. That's
Oh.
it. That's actually really wow. I didn't think
Cute.
about that. That is. Huh.
All right, we are
Weird.
in the midst of the autumn event, and Deerling has debuted. It evolves into Sawsbuck, and both are completely irrelevant for PvP, correct?
Nope, they're completely irrelevant for me.
They are
I'm
completely
definitely
relevant.
running one.
You're gonna run one. You're gonna run a Sawsbuck with takedown and what, Megahorn and Solar Beam.
No. It's gonna be hold on. Let me make sure. Feint attack, yeah. Feint attack, wild charge, and then
Faint attack. What?
maybe Mega Horn, maybe Solar Beam, maybe Hyper Beam, but definitely Feint attack and wild charge so it can be competitive.
That sounds exciting, to be honest. That
You say
sounds really.
competitive, and I don't know if we have the same definition of the word competitive.
Well, listen, if you lock in against the Gengars that people are running, or the Hunters, because it's a dark move against a Ghost, and Ghost is going to be using a Ghost move, purely Ghost moves against this normal Pokemon, who do you think is going to run on top?
When it has a sludge bomb,
No,
maybe
nobody
not.
runs Sludge Bomb though, because like no one thinks about these type of things. They're like, why would I run Sludge Bomb when Shadow Ball is like preferred on PV Poke and it does like 99% of the stuff. I'm never gonna
Yeah,
get locked in against like, oh my god, I'm locked in against a sauce bug. Like, no.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, Feint Attack's pretty cool. I have a Feint Attack Wigglytuff. I don't know if Jiggly thinks that's weird or not, but I have like a Feint Attack Wigglytuff, and I have regular like my Charm Wigglytuff. Like my Feint Attack one is my old one, and Feint Attack Wigglytuff is really spicy when you get paired against a Bronzong, and they're like, "Oh, I'm set," and then Feint Attack starts chunking, and they're like, "What is happening to my health?" So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it. Me and Aerosol. He's from Germany, I want to say.
Aerosol's gonna use it too.
Yeah, like
Oh
Aerosol and
no.
I have been, because I recently joined the Altered Mind
Right,
Discord.
right.
So I'll like do off stream, but I'll stream on Discord. I'll share my screen, and I'm there battling with like Star Raptor and whatever on my GBL sets, and he's kind of like, this is spicy, I like it, and then he'll use something like really bad or silly, and he'll be like, and he'll actually win because he's a good player. But like I'll use it, and he'd be like, "Oh, that was so close! Like this is amazing! Like these are the best losses I've ever seen."
Yeah, because they're actually like Pokemon you enjoy rather than
Yeah.
meta. Yeah, so there you
I
go.
mean, like I'm posting all these Azu and Open Ultra League battles.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm getting
They-
wins. Like they're not frequent, but when I do, they're some of the best wins you've ever seen.
if they don't have Shadow Sneak or Shadow Claw, you're in the clear. You're good.
Or it's that one obstacle with cross chop and night slash. Like we're good.
You're good, exactly. Yeah. So I think Jiggly stepped away.
Yeah. He said he
Mhm.
was doing an off-screen trip or trick or something.
Right. Okay.
But I just uploaded a video on Twitter of me battling with my Azu against a Lapras. And then I did a sexy switch, and I switched in my Aggron because they were farming for a while. I switched in my Aggron, and they skull bashed my Aggron. So
Let's take a moment to appreciate you're using Aggron.
it's double moved.
What?
It's Stone Edge Thunder, so I'm going full board with these. I'm going just like straight ahead with these beams.
Clearly, I'm going to look at it. Oh man.
What am I
Like the
missing?
comments. Oh, that
Indeed.
I'm using a 98 maxed out Azumarill and Open Great League or Open Ultra League. So I lock it in against the Garatinas, and like I'll get a couple of wins here, and I post them on Twitter. And then I just uploaded a video of me because I was battling while we were talking, and I had my Azu versus a Lapras. The Lapras was farming for a while. I'm like, this is probably a Skull Bash. So I switched in my Aggron, and I caught the Skull Bash.
Yikes. Oh man, that is something. All right, I'm looking at the what has been everyone's experience with the berries during this event that we've got going on. My experience has been, it seems like even though they are doubly effective, that like your buddy wants to eat again soon. So it's kind of unusual. They're supposed to be doubly effective, but it doesn't seem like it lasts as long. Am I just imagining things? Do I have needy buddies?
You could do what I do and ignore the buddies.
Oh. Now, I mean, the buddies are high maintenance. I will give you that. But how can somebody who loves the stickers like you hate a feature like the buddies? I feel like you would want.
They're just like so much work. The stickers are kind of cute because I don't know. It's just like a personal thing where you can send them to your friends with their little hidden meanings, and the buddies are like this thing where you just have to really weigh, is the time I'm investing in this worth the minimal payoff that I'm getting out of spending so much time feeding magical berries to my freaking Pokemon. Like, no, I'm not going to sit there and best buddy 19 different Pokemon and scratch their little heads on my phone. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, oops. I just spent I was doing that while we were talking. Oof. Yeah.
As cute as shiny Zigzagoon is when you itch its little head, I just can't. I can't do it.
Oh, my Pikachu best buddy recently, and I was so happy. That's my first Pikachu, my first of 5 that I'm working on. So I'm gonna have 5 Pikachus with best buddy stamps in gyms whenever I put them in the gym. It's gonna be so happy. Make me happy.
I'm just picturing the side eyes that like one Pikachu gives you, like when you put one back into the Pokeball and you pick the other one to be your best friend. You're just like, I thought I meant something to you, Ethan. I think that this might be an issue.
It could cause an issue within my own Pikachu community, but that's me. That's something I manage. So, and that's okay. I think it's okay to have a little.
Himself.
Yeah, it's okay to have a little bit of jealousy within my Pikachu community. It's okay.
His harem of Pikachus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're all like. I don't think they're. Oh well, I guess harems are for both. So that's right. Yeah, but yeah, it's okay.
My general take on this event is that there's a lot of stuff out that theoretically could be usable for PvP that you can farm IVs for, but there's nothing that I'm really focused on other than a Vulpix. Is anybody really farming? A Vulpix and a Zigzagoon. I do want a Zigzagoon that's not weather boosted.
No.
I have those, so I'm good now.
I still don't
just
have a
hunting for shinies, but that will never come.
And we already covered the shinies from the event earlier. I think Alyssa was. Do you all have Vulpix? I don't have a Vulpix. I'm still wanting that lovely little thing.
So cute.
I got my Vulpix too.
Does anybody know if the rates are as good as they were for Kricketot or not?
I have no idea. I did manage to get a Kricketot, and I didn't think I was gonna get one, but I got it at the end of Spotlight Hour, which actually kind of made me mad because I wanted a Pikachu, not as Kricketot. And I was like, wow, okay, this is like really annoying. Now I have Kricketot. This is wow. And it was like the second after 7 o'clock too. Like right, like my first spawn, like everything, like all the Pikachus disappear. First spawn, shiny Kricketot. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I think I got 2 shiny Cricketots. I'll have to look.
What I was reading was reporting that people were saying that the rate was higher, that it was somewhere in like the 1 out of 70 to 100 range instead.
Yeah, that seems right because I definitely got 2.
Yeah, because I got a bunch, and I just didn't know if moving forward they were pushing some of the new shinies from these events into that higher tier, but I have not read the research on Vulpix. It's probably too early to know. All I know is I don't have one. Tuesday, another Spotlight Hour for Pikachu, which we've already kind of alluded to. I'm not excited. Double catch candy. Max, are you doing a Meltan box? Any other ways to maximize us for any actual value if we are not people who rub our hatted Pikachu's heads like a certain person?
If you save your task for something that you're low on like candies on or something, possibly doing raids during that hour, because you have the remote raid, so it might be beneficial to try to set up some kind of like raid thing with friends to try to get double catch candy during that raid hour, or like during that hour you could try to like host something where you could just go from spot to spot but you have to have that Spotlight Hour in your time zone. I believe you have to do that. You can also do a nest if it's safe for you to go to a nest. But yeah, I just like the Pikachu's. Like I already have a whole bunch of stuff. The only other thing that you could do is to stock up on all those Pikachu candies and wait until the double XP or whatever it is for the evolution stuff, and you can evolve all of those Pikachus into Raichus, I think, or something like that. That like aren't hats that can evolve or something like that. Like you can just use up all that candy because like it's you probably will have an abundance of candy. You could probably afford to evolve a couple with the lucky egg if you need the experience points. So that might be one thing that you could work on. But it's I hate the double candy ones when it's not something that requires a lot of candy. Kind of like they should have one for Magikarp before Community Day. They should have one for things that will most likely need to be maxed out for Ultra, Master, or even Great League, or a Legendary. Like for the raid hour, it should be like double catch candy, stuff like that. There are way more ways to make it efficient, but now it's just kind of like here's the four different things. We're gonna reorganize them in some kind of wacky way for the month, and then we're just gonna pull four Pokemon out of a hat, and there you go. Houndour Double Candy Day. Why? I don't know. Just because.
Well, now we have Mega Houndoom, but who knows? So I guess the berry event will stack with this, right? So if we do pinat berries or silver pinat berries on Mons during that hour, then what will that amount to? Is that going to amount to 8 times candy or something? What is that?
No, I think you get 12 candy. Because double candy, so that would be 6, and then you double it again to 12.
Let's see.
Right.
According to the infographic, 4-time candy only when catching with a pinat berry. And so double that would be 8 times. And what's standard for a catch? 3? 3.
Yeah.
So it should be 24 each, I think, with a pinat berry. So, I mean, you could pretty quickly, if you are good enough with your throws and you've got some silver pinaps, or if you do have a nest, yeah, you could pretty quickly build up some candies for stuff. This event, I would say the berry event for the pinap berries is pretty underrated. Like, you still have to find a nest, but you can build up candies so fast with pinaps right now. It's kind of crazy. So to me, it reminds me of early on when trading was a thing, and they had the event where you got like extra candy for trading, and it was not that many people probably took advantage of it, but like when you look back at it, like the amount of candy you got from that was pretty crazy for distance anyway. All right, anything else anybody else can think of, because I feel like we have finally tapped this thing dry, and it's been a long night as always. What did we reach in terms of time here? We haven't reached the 420 mark. It feels longer than 420, doesn't it?
What are we at right now?
We're not even to 4. We're at 3:57. I know, it's kind of shocking. At least for recorded time. I guess we were live a few minutes before I hit record, but it was not. It was still waiting screen. So it's been a long night. We got a little bit of a late start. Anything anybody wants to mention, either in terms of news or things to watch for this week, other than coming back for Poke and Poll? Anything?
I'll probably be doing Phasmophobia for a while.
It's a fun game. It's really fun, except when you're dying, Yeah.
There's a solution for that. Just don't die, I guess.
Yeah, it's just gotta be good. Yeah.
All right, who do we have live? I know that Wally is here, so Wally is not still streaming unless we've got Rocksteady is doing Among Us. We've got White Chocolate. White Chocolate has been putting in the grind recently. I appreciate the effort. Love that we've got him grinding in that spot.
Yeah, White Chocolate.
Let's give him the raid. Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope that aside from my ranting and raving when I was managing to block the Bellsprouts screen, that everybody enjoys the visual changes that I was making this week, trying to get a little bit higher production value going here. So hopefully I can keep it moving in that direction. Okay, we got the raid underway. Thanks everybody for joining us. Come back, watch Twitter for when we're going to do stuff, watch the Discord, and we shall see you next week on Bellsprouts. Raid gone.